presidents of the United States. Could the influence of these powerful men be connected to an alien race? According to UFO experts, the decisions that shaped our country and globe may have come from out of this world. What have the presidents known that the public did not?
There's always things like that going on. Flying saucers, and they've had other things, you know.
From UFOs over our capital to a presidential sit-down with alien beings.
President Harry Truman disclosed to the American people that UFOs were real.
Tonight, we reveal how much influence otherworldly creatures may have had on the presidents of the United States.
Is not an alien force already among us?
Join us as the secrets of presidents and aliens are unsealed. A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades, detailing every UFO account, are now available to the public. We are about to uncover the truth behind these classified documents. Find out what the government doesn't want you to know. Unsealed. Alien Files. Exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Valley Forge, Pennsylvania. It is winter 1777, the height of the Revolutionary War. General George Washington leads a wounded battalion, leaving a trail of blood in the snow.
During the horrendous winter at Valley Forge of the American Revolution, George Washington, who was getting demoralized at the state of his troops, went into the forest to pray. And in that forest, Washington saw what could only be described as an otherworldly phenomenon.
In 1880, the National Tribune reported an account by one of Washington's men. In it, the soldier reports Washington was approached by a strange being in the woods. According to the story, the being showed Washington a map of America. On it fell drops of water. With each drop of water, a city emerged, a vision of the United States as it would appear in the centuries ahead.
The second vision Washington had at Valley Forge was even stranger. Washington said that what he saw in the forest was a floating green orb, out of which jumped little creatures, small people. Washington said they were probably members of a local Indian tribe. But why would they be jumping out of a floating green orb?
Did extraterrestrial creatures visit America's first president? This portrait of Washington features what seems to be a glowing craft hovering above a globe of the Earth. Could alien inspiration have affected not only this founding father, but others as well? Baton Rouge, Louisiana. According to a published account, on April 5, 1800, President Thomas Jefferson and his aide witnessed something unexplainable fly above their heads and crash into the earth.
So Jefferson's aide said that when they saw this UFO, it was about 70 to 80 feet long and about 200 yards off the surface of Earth.
The object is described to be the size of a house and crimson red.
After it passed over them for about 15 to 20 seconds, they saw it kind of disappear behind a hill, and they heard like a large crash and felt a rumble on the ground, which means whatever this object was definitely crashed here on Earth.
Upon investigation, Jefferson learns that the surface of Earth was found broken up and badly scorched. Could this sighting, as many alien theorists believe, be the first UFO crash encountered by a president, but not the last?
Washington's description of his two UFO sightings at Valley Forge and Jefferson's description of William Dunbar's sighting of a UFO and a UFO crash over Louisiana in 1800, reported in 1801, really set the stage for a number of future encounters reported by presidents of the United States about UFO encounters.
In the centuries to follow, America flourishes, and thousands of fellow Americans report unexplained craft in the sky. Los Angeles, 1895. The Foo Fighters of World War II. Roswell, 1947. As UFO and alien encounters spread around the United States, Americans grow afraid.
In 1952, there was a huge increase in UFO sightings across the nation. You would call this a UFO wave. From coast to coast, UFOs were pretty much seen everywhere.
It was known as the Year of the UFO. While many dismiss these stories as Cold War paranoia, one key event challenged skeptics, asking why aliens don't just show up on the White House lawn. Because in July of 1952, they almost do. This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. Since founding the United States of America, presidents have experienced alien encounters and unexplained sightings over the nation's soil. Could there be a significant connection between an alien presence and the leaders of the free world?
If extraterrestrials came to Earth, particularly the United States, and landed here and wanted to communicate with us, they would probably want to communicate with the leader of the United States, the commander-in-chief of the armed forces.
As a result of these encounters, U.S. presidents may have changed our country, or even the world. But a 1952 sighting struck fear into the public's heart when a nation under President Harry Truman received an alien visit right over the Capitol. Unsealed case file, the White House alien invasion.
In 1952, there was a huge increase in UFO sightings across the nation. You would call this a UFO wave. From coast to coast, UFOs were pretty much seen everywhere. But in 1952, a very historic event took place over the skies of Washington, D.C.
Washington, D.C. At 11:40 p.m. on July 19th, 1952, an air traffic controller at Washington National Airport reportedly spotted 7 unidentified objects southwest of the city on radar.
According to the air traffic controller who tracked these objects over the Capitol, they were moving in erratic fashion, something that no one was familiar with in normal aircraft.
The objects moved into positions above the Capitol, the Pentagon, and the White House.
The sighting above the Capitol in Washington, D.C. caused a lot of panic and fear. Let's face it, the military couldn't explain it, and this was an extreme threat to the President of the United States and our Congress and our politicians there in Washington.
Witnesses calculate the objects to be moving at 100 miles per hour and accelerating to as much as 7,200 miles per hour as they roam freely above Washington. Following the incident, President Harry Truman demands answers to the flying saucer problem.
This wasn't just a UFO appearance over some isolated desert spot. This was a UFO formation over Washington, D.C. And in a very unguarded, unscripted moment before the press, President Harry Truman disclosed to the American people that UFOs were real.
Did the Joint Chiefs of Staff talk to you about the unidentified flying objects?
Oh, yes, we discussed it at every conference that we had. There's always things like that going on. Flying saucers, and they've had other things, you know.
The Air Force launches a UFO investigation named Project Blue Book. But their research over 17 years concludes UFOs are easily explainable. The program abruptly ends in 1969.
Most of what we're dealing with in these reports is almost certainly fantasy.
Could Project Blue Book have simply been a government cover-up to quell the American public's fear of UFOs?
Many people believed, especially after this, that not only were UFOs real, but the government was trying to cover them up.
In fact, some stories indicate that presidents of the 20th century not only knew about alien life, they may have had the bodies to prove it. Inverness, Florida, February 19th, 1973. President Richard Nixon steps on to the Inverness Golf and Country Club, hole number 18. He is there to meet his friend, actor and comedian Jackie Gleason, to help open a charity golf tournament. But according to a story reported by Air Force security officer Larry Warren, the event is allegedly the beginning of a presidential alien encounter.
Gleason was an avid UFO reader, and he said he pressured Richard Nixon to tell him about UFOs, what did the government know about UFOs, and Nixon, supposedly, according to Larry Warren, Gleason keeps pushing President Nixon to show him the UFO, show him an alien body, show him some kind of proof of UFOs. Nixon refuses.
According to Warren's tale, Gleason later reported that Nixon had finally given in and revealed an extraterrestrial secret.
Nixon, close to midnight, showed up at Jackie Gleason's house, driving his own private car, no Secret Service, no security. Tells Gleason to get in. He says, you want to see something? I'll show you something. They drive to Homestead Air Force Base, pass through security. The president shows Gleason these remains of extraterrestrials, aliens, encased in some kind of what Jackie Gleason described to Larry Warren as a Coke dispenser freezer.
The U.S. presidency holds many secrets. We may never know for sure if the tale of Nixon and alien bodies is true. But we may have proof that one president actually met aliens alive. When we return, this is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. Since its founding in 1776, presidents leading the United States have become entangled in one of the biggest mysteries of mankind, the UFO enigma.
People truly believe, and this has come out in various surveys and national polls about this, that the government is keeping secrets from the American people about not only the existence of UFOs, but government's involvement with UFOs.
Some presidents claim to have no knowledge of our nation's alien secrets.
If the United States Air Force did recover alien bodies, they didn't tell me about it either, and I want to know.
But many modern presidents have witnessed UFO events that inspired them to share their experiences with the public. None more than the man known to some as the UFO president, Jimmy Carter. Leary, Georgia, 1969. 2 years before Jimmy Carter becomes governor of Georgia and later president of the United States, he is giving a speech at a local school when a guest points out an unusual light in the sky.
And Carter saw this, and it affected him a lot, because not only did he remember this sighting and talk about it years later, he went out of his way to report it to the International UFO Bureau at the time that was investigating this phenomenon.
Carter's official report described it as self-luminous, changing from blue to red and back to white in color. There are an estimated 10 to 12 witnesses to the event. And yet, Carter was not alone. His successor, Ronald Reagan, claimed to see a UFO and took his thoughts of alien invasion all the way to the United Nations. (1974), in the skies over California, future President Governor Ronald Reagan is flying to Bakersfield, California in his Cessna jet when he catches sight of an unusual object outside the window.
When Governor Ronald Reagan was flying into Bakersfield, California, he saw a UFO outside of a Cessna aircraft. His ex-military pilot also saw this, and recounted that the object stayed there for quite a few minutes, just hovering outside of the aircraft, and then zipped off into the heavens and completely disappeared.
Reagan admitted he himself was conducting UFO research on his own time. He was a believer, and to the man who would become president, this craft was reportedly real, unidentified, and possibly alien. A lesson he thought the entire world could learn from.
Perhaps we need some outside universal threat. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
Perhaps the biggest presidential encounter of all is not a UFO sighting, but a meeting between a sitting U.S. president and an extraterrestrial here on Earth. It is an encounter so significant, it could affect the future of every man, woman, and child, if we can prove it happened.
Eisenhower was an extremely important figure in our nation's history. He was an extremely powerful, well-respected military strategist. He came out of World War II. He was a hero. Our country revered Eisenhower.
According to alien theorists, President Eisenhower was called upon to meet with alien leaders on more than one occasion. But only one of those events coincides with the appearance of a possible alien craft. The location, Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico. The date was October 16th, 1957, and the guests, an alien race known as the Greys.
So now we get to the event known as the Holloman Landing, wherein a ship, saucer-shaped ship, lands on the tarmac at Holloman Air Force Base in front of Air Force One, and a meeting is held right there on the tarmac.
Coming up next, one chilling photo could connect aliens and the history of our government for the past 50 years. See it and decide for yourself when we return. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. The time to act is now. There are 3 simple steps you can take to unseal the truth.
Follow on Twitter.
Follow the Unsealed Twitter feed to receive breaking news of the latest alien happenings as they develop.
Tell your story.
Have you seen a UFO?
Whatever we encountered affected our memory.
Upload stories and pictures to our interactive map.
Join the movement.
Get the Unsealed bracelet and the unique code hidden underneath to access exclusive content. Stop living in the dark.
It is definitely coming this way.
Get involved in the fight to unseal the truth. Now. Throughout history, presidents of the United States have determined our fates. But has alien contact with the presidents played a role as well? On October 16th, 1957, President Dwight D. Eisenhower allegedly held meetings with extraterrestrials in hopes of striking a treaty.
So the only bit of evidence that we have about this whole Holloman incident is a picture taken on that day, the alleged day, of a UFO above Holloman Air Force Base. It's a verified photo. So if this photo is real, then possibly a meeting really did take place that day on the tarmac.
We may never know how much influence aliens have had on our founding fathers or current presidents. But if any of these encounters are true, one thing is certain. The leaders of the free world may have help from something that is not of this world. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Ancient Egypt. Could it be that the hieroglyphs left behind by this mysterious culture detail a history of visitors from another planet and the story of an advanced alien race assisting people on Earth thousands of years ago.
If this is true, this could absolutely change and alter everything we believe about the human race.
From stories of visitation buried within ancient texts to evidence that Egyptian structures did not begin on Earth, tonight we reveal the incredible tale of strange beings behind one of the most advanced civilizations in human existence. Join us as the alien history of the Egyptian gods is unsealed. A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades, detailing every UFO account, are now available to the public. We are about to uncover the truth behind these classified documents. Find out what the government doesn't want you to know. Unsealed. Alien Files. Exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Evidence throughout the world suggests that a connection may exist between aliens and ancient human civilizations. The celestial calendar, known as Stonehenge. The ancient Indian tales of piloted ships called Vimanas.
What we're discovering is that ancient societies that suddenly blossomed and bloomed out of nowhere learned that information from older, much older cultures. Probably human, but possibly not human.
No civilization in human history may reveal more about our connection to the stars than a race beginning over 5,000 years ago. The people of ancient Egypt.
Ancient Egypt is almost like a well of our own human past. The more we explore the mysteries of ancient Egypt, the monuments, the pyramids, the Sphinx, the more we realize that there's more to learn about ancient Egypt and its potential relationship to other extraterrestrial races.
Dendera, Egypt. Among the many ruins here, the great Temple of Hathor serves as the central temple of worship for the goddess Hathor, mother, wife, and daughter of Ra, the sun god.
What's fascinating about the Temple of Hathor is that it has this beautiful celestial image on the ceiling, and it proves that the ancient Egyptians were fascinated with astronomy.
But hieroglyphics in the Temple of Hathor also reveal what could be a scientific understanding thousands of years ahead of its time. The most mysterious etchings appear to show a device that wouldn't be invented by modern man for another 3 millennia.
So you have these hieroglyphics that depict this reptile-like creature or creatures giving these gifts to humans. And the gifts really, upon looking at it, are bulbous in nature, they're emitting a light. You can even argue that there's a filament inside. It looks like a light bulb. Some people say that it's a light bulb.
Did ancient Egyptians possess the knowledge of electric light bulbs over 3,000 years before Thomas Edison? And can the records of ancient Egypt reveal the true identity of the strange creatures passing their knowledge to mankind? Unsealed case file. The Thule Papyrus.
One of the most recent accounts of possible interaction between Egyptians and extraterrestrials comes from the Thule Papyrus.
According to reports, the Thule Papyrus was discovered in a Cairo antique shop by Alberto Thule, a director of the Vatican Museum's Egyptian Studies. The message's alleged translation reveals a shocking account of unidentified visitors over the sands of ancient Egypt more than 3,500 years ago. It reads, in the year 22, a strange fiery disk was coming in the sky. After several days had passed, they became more numerous in the sky than ever. They shined in the sky more than the brightness of the sun. Powerful was the position of the fiery disks.
The Thule Papyrus describes fiery disks that were flying through the sky. What do we call these now? We call these UFOs, and It almost looked like an alien fleet, a fleet of extraterrestrials, were flying over the skies of ancient Egypt.
Many believe these fiery discs could be the arrival of alien beings depicted in the Temple of Hathor.
If this is true, then we have an actual documented account of UFOs descending upon ancient Egypt. And on top of that, we could have evidence of technology thousands of years ahead of its time. Is it possible that what we thought of as gods were in fact extraterrestrials that the ancient Egyptians were communicating with? And if so, then why were they here? And what do they want from us?
Coming up next, the answer to these mysteries could reveal the greatest alien secrets in human history and uncover the tomb of an ancient ruler known to some as the Alien King. Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. Ancient Egyptian records prove an undeniable link between the people of Egypt and mysterious beings that have been interpreted as gods. But were these gods mere folklore? Or could they have been actual creatures visiting our planet and sharing their secrets with mankind?
If the ancient Egyptians had contact with extraterrestrials, maybe all of the hieroglyphs that we see today of their gods are actually their interactions with extraterrestrials.
Abydos, Egypt. Carved into the walls of the famed Temple of Seti are incredible images that some believe could connect ancient man and alien life.
On the walls of these Egyptian edifices, there seem to be hieroglyphic depictions of modern aircraft. There's a helicopter, another type of aircraft. It looks like there's a submarine. What could explain that in inscriptions that were carved into stone 8,000 years ago?
If these are recordings of machines a millennia before their time, could ancient man have been exposed to advanced technology by a superior race?
You have to wonder, were these flying machines in the sky during ancient Egyptian times? Is this something that they built themselves? Or this could be proof that something was in our skies thousands of years ago.
If these carvings are evidence of alien contact with ancient humans, what were they here to accomplish? The answer could be in the tomb of an Egyptian ruler some believe may not have been human at all. Unsealed case file. Akhenaten, the Alien King. Pharaoh Amenhotep IV became ruler of Egypt in 1353 BC. But 5 years into his reign, he changed his name to Akhenaten, the living spirit of Aten.
In Egyptian mythology, Aten is described as this solar disk, sometimes depicted with hands and rays coming out of it. And this makes Akhenaten the living embodiment of that sun disk.
Akhenaten ruled for 17 years, changing the traditional religion of the land to only worship Aten. According to the king, Aten, the sun disk, was more powerful than mere gods.
Because Akhenaten was able to come in and change all of the beliefs of Egypt in a matter of just years, that tells me that there's some connection between him and this deity. And if we believe in the idea that Aten was some sort of extraterrestrial being, then perhaps Akhenaten was actually offspring.
Hieroglyphics of Akhenaten reveal him to be anything but normal. His arms and fingers are long and slender. His chin stretches low, and his head strangely elongated.
Certain characteristics of these aliens would be portrayed in the genetic structure of the royal family, and one of those is cranial elongation.
Analysis of Akhenaten's skull has led researchers to imagine a head of inhuman length and eyes of unusual size. This trait was also seen in daughters of the pharaoh, as well as his famous son, King Tutankhamun. But could this family have descended from an extraterrestrial race?
Skeptics believe that Akhenaten's skull shape could be the result of skull binding or tying something around the head to misshape it on purpose. But there's absolutely no evidence that supports that Akhenaten's skull shape has anything to do with skull binding.
Some claim Akhenaten and his descendants suffered from a biological disorder. But alien theorists insist the explanation lies in something far more shocking. Could Akhenaten, in fact, have been the first recorded attempt at alien-human hybridization?
If an alien race were dying, how would they invade another planet to sustain their race, to keep themselves alive through successive generations? One way would be to hybridize with that species to create a new species, a synthesis of that species and their own, and therefore their civilization could be sustained.
If aliens were successful in interbreeding with humans, their genes could still be present in the human race today. But where did they come from? And where did they go? The answer may be within messages left behind at their greatest achievement, the pyramids. Coming up next, the hidden codes of the pyramid reveal incredible evidence of alien architects and expose a shocking secret that could change everything we've ever believed about the origins of man. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. Ancient records and the remains of a pharaoh known as the Alien King may prove that the gods of Egypt were more flesh and blood than ever imagined. But could these strange beings have been visitors from another world?
A lot of believers feel that that is evidence that they were visited. That is evidence that they knew more then than we know now about life out there in the universe.
The pyramids. What many would call impossible structures. The pyramids may be man's greatest early feat of engineering, but was the feat accomplished by mankind alone?
You can see examples of this all over the globe, but the most impressive and fascinating is the Great Pyramid at Giza.
The Great Pyramid of Giza was partially constructed using 130 granite blocks that each weighed between 12 and 70 tons. Each massive piece was nearly impossible to move with sheer manpower alone, and yet each one was transported incredible distances.
These large stones of granite were hauled 500 miles away to build the Great Pyramids of Egypt. They needed to be hoisted over 240 feet into the air by the time they reached their capstone. So how did any race do this and accomplish this, especially when they came 2,000, 3,000 years before the time of Jesus?
According to historians, the Great Pyramid took only 20 years to construct. If true, workers would have had to quarry, craft, and fit a multi-ton block every 2.5 minutes.
That's an amazing feat, even when you're talking about 21st century technology. So how did the ancient Egyptians do it? Really, the only answer to that you could come up with that makes sense today is they had help. They had to have had help. How could the human race do this by themselves?
The degree of accuracy found in the pyramid's construction also indicates a higher intelligence.
The positioning of the pyramid is absolutely precise. It points due north within 0.05 of a degree. No other structure on Earth has that kind of precision.
Constructed with what the Egyptians referred to as sacred geometry, the pyramids are said to have once been polished to reflect sunlight, enough to be visible from space. But what was the purpose of such a beacon? And could the answer be buried within this sacred geometry?
The equations And the mathematics required to have figured that out were so advanced that only someone looking at the Earth from the sky or from space would have figured out the mathematics of the Great Pyramid.
Analysis indicates that the height of the Great Pyramid, when multiplied by 1 billion, measures the average distance of the Earth from the Sun. The full base circumference of the Great Pyramid is a near-to-scale match for the circumference of the Earth at the equator.
When you take all this into consideration, how did the Egyptians get all this advanced information? It was way beyond the technology of ancient Egypt and way beyond the civilization itself. That's why many ancient alien theorists believe that ancient Egypt was actually in part an ancient extraterrestrial civilization.
If extraterrestrial intelligence influenced these great structures, it implies that alien beings may have felt a kinship with mankind. Otherwise, why did they leave behind the Great Pyramid or the structure that could explain to us where they came from? The Sphinx. At 66 feet high and 240 feet in length, it is the largest monolith statue in the world. And within it is a secret that may prove that the structures of ancient Egypt did not originate from our planet.
The Great Sphinx contains a number of mysteries beyond our understanding, but the greatest of which is right on its surface.
In 1991, geologists from Boston University discovered erosion and weather patterns on the Sphinx that date its construction thousands of years before the existence of the Egyptian civilization.
Then that means that the Sphinx would predate the Egyptian culture by thousands of years. If the Egyptians didn't build the Sphinx, then who or what did?
Coming up next, a chilling possibility is revealed by NASA. These great structures may not be from Earth at all, and the photographs that could prove it will shock the world. When we return, this is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. The time to act is now. There are 3 simple steps you can take to unseal the truth.
Follow on Twitter.
Follow the Unsealed Twitter feed to receive breaking news of the latest alien happenings as they develop.
Tell your story.
Have you seen a UFO?
Whatever we encountered affected our memory.
Upload stories and pictures to our interactive map.
Join the movement.
Get the Unsealed bracelet and the unique code hidden underneath to access exclusive content. Stop living in the dark.
It is definitely coming this way.
Get involved in the fight to unseal the truth. Now. Scientific evidence could prove that the great monuments of ancient Egypt were collaborations between mankind and visitors from another planet. But from what planet did these visitors originate?
New NASA photographs have revealed what appears to be several pyramids and even a Sphinx buried on the sands of Mars.
Were the original pyramids and Sphinx built by an ancient Martian race?
Now that we have rovers on Mars, a lot of these questions will be answered. If we find the remains of ancient civilizations under the surface of Mars, would we have to rewrite human history?
If ancient Egypt was visited and inspired by Martian founders, our exploration of the Red Planet could put us face to face with our ancestors and finally unravel the truth behind ancient Egypt. This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. UFO sightings around the world could prove the existence of alien life. But one mystery remains. What is the extraterrestrial plan for Earth and the human race that inhabits it?
If extraterrestrials are here on planet Earth, they could be here to save us or to slaughter us.
Tonight, we count down the top 10 extraterrestrial plots for the future of our planet and species. From acts of human salvation to designs of global conquest, one thing cannot be denied. Each and every one could spell a different fate for the human race.
If the evidence is true, then there's some type of reality to the extraterrestrial presence.
Join us as the top 10 alien plots are unsealed. A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades, detailing every UFO account, are now available to the public. We are about to uncover the truth behind these classified documents. Find out what the government doesn't want you to know. Unsealed. Alien Files. Exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Our first alien plot involves a threat that could be hiding within plain sight of every human on Earth. But some theorists believe it's only a secret if you don't work for NASA. Number 10. Alien Moon Base. In 1964, the Ranger 7 became the first American spacecraft to return photos of a world we had never seen, the moon. But what about the photos we didn't see?
Now, what's not talked about is some of the actual photographs that weren't shown publicly.
A case can be made that, in fact, successful, that they were able to transmit images back to the moon, back to Earth, and that they did show artificial structures on the moon.
In fact, some believe that aliens were not only discovered on the moon, but are now cooperating with NASA, a claim supported by the alleged discoveries of a man named Gary McKinnon.
Gary McKinnon is a British ufologist who a couple of years ago hacked into secure computers at NASA in the United States from the UK and found some incredible documents that listed something called non-terrestrial officers.
Could this document prove that our government is working with aliens discovered on our moon?
It meant that NASA not only knew about an ET presence, but that it was dealing with an ET presence on a regular basis.
Whether aliens are working with our scientists or the other way around, this alien plot could prove there is more to the moon than the public was led to believe. Number 9. Alien-human hybrids. The Greys. The very name strikes fear in the heart of any true believer.
During an alien abduction, Greys are the most commonly described entity that not only does or conducts the abduction, but also makes the victim undergo medical experiments, sometimes torture.
But alien theorists believe these aliens from the Zeta Reticula galaxy also have a crucial weakness, the inability to reproduce.
How they may sustain their own race is through a procedure called hybridization.
Abductees on board their ships report bizarre reproductive experiments that often end with aliens presenting them with hybrid children to hold.
When skeptics ask, where's the evidence for alien-human hybridization? The answer could be in the misshapen skulls found throughout the world.
If this is an alien plot to hybridize all of mankind, could our future be to live as an intergalactic race? After all, how sure are you that you couldn't be half alien? The next alien plot in our countdown proposes a very different theory that may reveal that alien races are closer than we think. Number 8. Underwater extraterrestrials.
On November 8th, 2010, a mysterious object came out of the Pacific Ocean off the coast of California and seemingly streaked towards the sky towards space. No one could identify or could see what this object was, and when the military was questioned about it, they had no idea either.
But the object appeared to have launched from between Los Angeles, Long Beach, and Catalina, an area UFO hunters refer to as the Devil's Triangle of the West and the location of a possible underwater base.
This image shows large domes the size of 2 football fields, deep under the surface of the ocean, sitting on the ocean floor. If extraterrestrials, if aliens or intraterrestrials wanted to have an undersea base, this is exactly the kind of base they would have.
Coming up, from extraterrestrial bioweapons to UFO attacks caught on film, our countdown of alien plots has just begun, and it all leads to a #1 plot like nothing you've ever heard before. This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. Alien agents infiltrating NASA, a UFO base off the coast of California. Our countdown of the top 10 alien plots of all time has exposed some of the biggest secrets in our universe. But nothing has prepared us for what's next. Number 7, Alien Biowarfare. Since the bubonic plague of the 14th century, mysterious illnesses have devoured our species. But could this biowarfare be an extraterrestrial plot?
If an alien race really did want to deliver some type of biological agent or a virus to the planet Earth and introduce it to humans, they could easily do it. All they would have to do is find some type of delivery method, and they wouldn't even have to visit the planet itself.
But is sending a viral warhead from the stars actually possible?
As crazy as that sounds, we've had 2 instances in the past decade where a meteor or comet has come very close, if not within our atmosphere, and left something behind.
Red rain. In 2010, Kerala, India was shocked when a sudden and bizarre storm ravaged the city.
The biggest surprise about the red rain is that when they analyzed it, they found organic material inside the particles that was not terrestrial.
But could matter from such a meteorite actually poison human beings? Just ask the residents of Caracas, Peru. On September 15th, 2007, a huge fireball fell from the sky and struck the ground of this small working village.
When it crashed, people living near the site became very, very sick. They were throwing up. They were clearly poisoned by something.
If true, this alien plot could reveal that a war with an alien race may be over before we even realize it's begun. But could some aliens be looking to help instead of harm? Number 6, aliens versus nuclear weapons. Big Sur, California, June 10th, 1964. An Atlas ballistic missile, fired as a test by the U.S. Navy, is going as planned. But later, military officers viewing the test footage see something shocking in the final stages of flight.
Officials who saw this video claim to have seen a silver disc come into frame, shoot some rays of light at the missile, and essentially destroy a warhead.
3 years later, at Malmstrom Air Force Base, a deputy commander overseeing a siloed fleet of ballistic missiles receives a frightened call reporting unidentified objects hovering over the base.
Suddenly, alarm bells start to ring, and each and every nuclear missile becomes inoperable. It was like whatever this craft or UFO was, it was strategically shutting down this nuclear missile silo.
It's possible we may never know the motives of our extraterrestrial visitors or what they have planned for human beings. But if our next alien plot is true, the President of the United States most certainly does. Number 5, the Alien-Human Pact. This photo appears to show an alien craft moments before it landed at Holloman Air Force Base in New Mexico on October 16, 1957.
Who was in that craft and why did it land? Well, the answer, according to ufologists, is that there were leaders extraterrestrial leaders of their respective planets in that craft that landed at Holloman in 1957 for the express purpose of meeting with President Dwight D. Eisenhower and forging some kind of a treaty between them and us.
The alleged deal: this sinister alien race would give their advanced alien technology to the Americans to be used in the Cold War. But in exchange, the government would allow the Greys to abduct human beings for DNA and experimentation.
After the Eisenhower meeting in the 60s, the number of reported cases of alien abduction went through the roof. In fact, abductions hadn't even really been reported until 1961.
Some say this alien plot continues on planet Earth to this day. And if correct, none of us may be safe. But if you think that's scary, our next plot reveals the most shocking participant of all: you. Coming up next, from reptilian world leaders to real alien implants, the next 3 extraterrestrial plots reveal the truth buried underneath our skin. And if you think you're prepared for our number 1 of all time, think again. This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. Counting down the top 10 alien plots of all time has exposed aliens hiding among us and even cooperating with the president. But our next extraterrestrial plan reveals that the most unlikely conspirator could be someone you only thought was human. Number 4, the reptilian threat. From the Garden of Eden to ancient Egypt, creatures that are neither man nor reptile are depicted as living among human beings.
Some people believe that creatures like this really did exist in the past and still do in the present in underground caverns.
This race is known as the reptilians, and some say they have developed a terrifying ability to take on the form of human beings.
Is there any logical explanation for how reptilian-type creatures might have come to planet Earth? Well, the answer is yes. They might not have come to planet Earth at all. They might have been an original species that have lived here not just for tens of thousands of years, but for millions of years.
In recent years, some theorists have publicly accused celebrities, royalty, and even presidents of having a secret reptilian persona. While most dismiss these theories as mere fantasy, even skeptics must admit, sometimes the thought that world leaders are driven by the goals of a bloodthirsty reptilian cult almost seems a little too terrifyingly perfect. Number 3, gods of the ancient world. Strange beings with inhuman heads, kings with elongated skulls and large eyes. Technological innovations a millennia before their time. The ancient hieroglyphs of Egypt provide many mysteries. But could we now have an answer to the message they were leaving behind?
We really don't know what the answer is, but what we do know is on multiple occasions, it is documented that these Egyptians were seeing what could only be described as UFOs or some type of craft in their skies.
But could these images, as some scholars believe, be actual sights witnessed by the people of ancient Egypt? Messages left behind of beings and machines visiting from the stars. Creatures that, looking back, we refer to simply as gods.
Is there any member of the Egyptian royal family, the houses of the pharaohs, that ufologists believe might have been an alien? Yes. That person is Akhenaten, whom ancient alien theorists believe was really an alien himself, a hybrid of mixed human and extraterrestrial blood.
The remains of King Akhenaten reveal an unusually elongated skull and images of him defy the style of the time, depicting him as tall and thin with incredibly long fingers.
Most skeptics believe that the misshapen skull was due to some birth defect or skull binding. But if Akhenaten was an alien or a hybrid, that means that in a not-so-distant past, we had an alien walking among us.
And if his bloodline is still alive today, the DNA of these ancient alien gods may in fact still run in our veins as well. Number 2, alien implants. What you are witnessing is actual footage of a very unusual surgery. This patient claims to have something unexplainable inside of him, something that can only be removed by one remarkable surgeon.
My name is Dr. Roger Lear, and I am by profession a podiatric surgeon. I've donated about the last 30 years of my life to the removal of objects from alien abductees.
Within these alleged alien abductees are small, strange implants, objects with no known origin, no scar from entry, and a composition that will chill the spine of any hardened skeptic.
The lab came back with pages and pages and pages of a report telling us, and the only conclusion that they could come to in the report was these were meteorite samples.
But what could be the insidious plot behind these alien implants?
In several cases we've had, the patient states in so many words that are almost hauntingly exactly the same. They have a newfound feeling of freedom.
Could this freedom be evidence of an alien plot to control us from within? If so, it is a terrifying extraterrestrial conspiracy that can only be topped by the most sinister alien plot of all time. A scheme so incredible it can only be revealed as our number 1 when we return. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. The time to act is now. There are 3 simple steps you can take to unseal the truth.
Follow on Twitter.
Follow the Unsealed Twitter feed to receive breaking news of the latest alien happenings as they develop.
Tell your story.
Have you seen a UFO?
Whatever we encountered affected our memory.
Upload stories and pictures to our interactive map.
Join the movement.
Get the Unsealed bracelet and the unique code hidden underneath to access exclusive content. Stop living in the dark.
It is definitely coming this way.
Get involved in the fight to unseal the truth. Now. In the top 10 alien plots of all time, you've seen evidence of incredible alien implants and plagues sent from outer space. But nothing has prepared you for number 1, aliens and the Nazis. Nazi Germany. In the heat of World War II, Allied pilots report encounters with flying orbs and screaming dogfights with strange balls of light.
These fiery orbs were called Foo Fighters, and many truly believed that this was a Nazi superweapon.
Some propose that several Nazi flying saucers were developed using technology Hitler gained from crashed alien craft.
If Nazis actually had obtained alien technology, then they would have been the most unstoppable force the world has ever seen.
As with all of our extraterrestrial conspiracies, this could have changed the future of every human on planet Earth. But that's why they are the top 10 alien plots of all time. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Mars. Named for the god of war, it is the most similar planet to Earth in our entire solar system, perhaps the only other planet that could support life, human or otherwise. What can explain the inhuman discoveries made on Mars? Bizarre structures, possible alien remains, and what could be an alien figure caught on NASA cameras. Is mankind on the verge of discovering alien life on Mars? Or have we already found proof of Martian civilizations?
This almost appears to be a whole city unexplored on the surface of Mars.
Tonight, the shocking truth of a world that could hold the key to our past and our future. Join us as the incredible secrets of alien life on planet Mars are unsealed. A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades, detailing every UFO account, are now available to the public. We are about to uncover the truth behind these classified documents. Find out what the government doesn't want you to know. Unsealed. Alien Files. Exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. In August 2012, NASA's Curiosity rover landed on the surface of the Red Planet. It was the most ambitious mission of its kind in the history of space exploration. A $2.5 billion project that many hoped could answer the ancient question: is there life on Mars?
The Curiosity rover is essentially a moving laboratory, and we can collect evidence off of Mars that we've never been able to collect before.
But the Curiosity rover is only the latest explorer of a program that began in 1971. Since then, 16 probes have successfully reached Mars, some returning crucial evidence that the Red Planet wants or may still be able to support life. In 1975, Viking orbiters showed geological evidence of rivers, lakes, and oceans. These images painted the picture of an ancient Mars that may have once held an abundance of alien life.
When they discovered that there was at one time possibly water on the surface of Mars, that blew open the door of possibility for there being extraterrestrial life in our solar system, let alone the universe.
Could Mars in fact have been much more like Earth than we once believed? The first color photographs of the Martian surface were taken by a rover in 2004. The images revealed that the Red Planet was anything but.
One of the things that shocked people in 2004 when NASA and JPL released these photos was this wasn't the dead planet that we've been led to believe with a brown sky and brown dusty surface. That when you look at this bluish sky and when you look at the surface of the Martian ground, it very much resembled the surface of Earth.
Could our exploration of this alien planet uncover the ultimate extraterrestrial secret? That intelligent life once, or perhaps still, exists on Mars, and that the evidence has been right before our eyes. Unsealed case file: the skull of Mars. In 2004, NASA landed 2 rovers on the surface of Mars, Spirit and Opportunity. They were sent to explore opposite sides of the Red Planet. And while Opportunity sent back many interesting photos, it was Spirit which captured what some believe is our first glimpse at an alien face. In this picture, we see a shape sitting on the ground. It has familiar features: eyes, a nose, even teeth. Could this be, as some believe, a humanoid skull buried in the Martian soil?
Alien theorists believe that this could be evidence that either humans had visited Mars at some point in the past, or that some other humanoid alien race has existed there for thousands of years.
Is this object, in fact, an ancient fossil? And what could be buried alongside it? Coming up next, the search for answers could reveal not only evidence of an alien being on the surface of Mars, but an entire civilization. This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. Photographs of Mars reveal alien landscapes remarkably similar to Earth and unexplained images that look terrifyingly human. But the biggest question remains, is there alien life on planet Mars?
All the evidence points to the fact that Mars could have very well supported life in the past and maybe supports alien life to this very day.
July 25th, 1976. The Viking 1 orbiter photographs a Martian terrain known as Cydonia. Of the many pictures taken that day, one would be seen as a sign that we may not be alone in the universe. A human face etched into the surface of Mars.
Well, the face of Mars doesn't resemble, it looks like a human face. I mean, it's looking up at the stars, at the heavens, but it looks like a human face. No mistaking it. And this thing has two eyes, a nose, a mouth. It has something that looks like a headdress on it. And this face, by the way, is about 3 miles, top to bottom, chin to head to top of head, and about 2 miles across. So it's a very large object, it's not small.
Alien theorists propose that the face of Mars could be a monument constructed by an ancient alien race, an invitation or a warning to visitors of Mars.
Skeptics say, well, why would an alien race make something like this? Well, who knows? It could be for a number of reasons. It could be as a monument to, maybe they knew a cataclysm was coming and they wanted to leave something that would let people know that they were there, let somebody know that they were there. It could be as simple as art. I mean, why do we create art? Why do we create sculpture?
Shockingly, the most recent images of the face reveal nothing more than a mountain of sand. Was the face a mere illusion? Or could it be that the face was purposely destroyed using explosives on board the Mars Observer? A NASA statement from August 21st, 1993 reports that NASA forever lost contact with Observer over the Martian surface, followed what was believed to be a fuel rupture. The next time the face was photographed in 1996, its features had vanished. It may be mere coincidence, but some believe this is just the most recent evidence of a cover-up to protect the truth.
Alien theorists believe that this could be evidence that either humans had visited Mars at some point in the past, or that some other humanoid alien race has existed there for thousands of years.
In fact, several photos from Mars have revealed what many believe are manufactured objects and signs of a ruined civilization. One of the discoveries was an object known as the ammo box. Photographed by NASA's Spirit rover, the origins of this seemingly metallic object remain a mystery.
The ammo box seems to be made of some sort of metal, and every edge meets at a 90-degree corner. How is that possible if it's a natural formation?
This and similar evidence have led theorists to believe that Mars may have been home to an ancient alien civilization. But could the ultimate discovery be an ancient city with a connection to our home planet? Unsealed case file, the Pyramids of Mars. Of all Martian regions, none has been more rich with the possible proof of civilization than Cydonia and the Pyramids of Mars.
In the middle of this barren planet, there stand three structures that resemble almost exactly our pyramids in Egypt.
Indeed, The shape of the pyramid has been repeated on Earth throughout multiple countries for millennia. The connection between the pyramids of Earth and these so-called pyramids of Mars could be seen as evidence of an extraterrestrial connection to the human race.
If these structures on Mars were manufactured by some sort of alien beings, what could that mean for our race? It could mean that we have neighbors who obviously thousands of years ago came here to visit us and left influences on our people and our cultures.
The largest of the Martian monuments is known as the D&M Pyramid. It spans almost 2 miles and stands half a mile tall. Shockingly, the axis of the pyramid is nearly in alignment with the north-south axis of Mars, just as the Great Pyramid of Giza is aligned with the north-south axis of the Earth. And yet, even if the pyramids of Mars could be explained as natural, it would be difficult to explain why, sitting near the base of the southernmost pyramid, is a Sphinx. Coming up next, an intergalactic war and possible images of an alien being lead to the ultimate question: is a Martian invasion in our future? Find out when we return. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. Humanoid faces seen in the Martian terrain, images of possible alien life, objects that seem to defy natural explanation. The evidence of alien life on Mars raises questions about an advanced civilization and their mysterious disappearance. Can the answer be found within pyramids eerily similar to ancient Egypt, right down to the presence of a Sphinx?
The Sphinx on Mars is a monolith that was discovered in 1997 by the Pathfinder mission. If you examine this photograph, even for just a minute, it's very clear that you can see a defined head, body, and even arms.
It is a form remarkably like that of the Great Sphinx of Giza, with a head that appears to be decorated in an Egyptian headdress. And all of this within miles of the so-called face of Mars.
When you think about an alien race building a giant face on the surface of their planet, some may laugh it off. And I always say, well, why would you laugh it off? Look at civilizations here on Earth stretching back thousands of years. You've got giant structures in the middle of Egypt, one of which just happens to be a very large face on the Sphinx. You've got other structures from other cultures that are being built that you can only see from the sky. So when you look at those commonalities, you have to see maybe there's a connection between life 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 years ago here on Earth and quite possibly a life starting on the planet of Mars.
If there truly was an ancient civilization on Mars, who knows how advanced they may have become before extinction? Could the ancient pyramids of Egypt have been constructed as a cultural link between the two societies? And if so, how did their society come to an end?
Many theorize by the scientific advances that we're making studying the Martian surface that in Mars's past, that it's been hit multiple times by asteroids. Now, when you talk about huge asteroids striking a planetary surface, the effects of that are pretty detrimental. Many believe that happened on Mars, maybe on a grander scale. Instead of 10% of the world's life or the planet's life surviving, that you had zero survivability.
Possible evidence of this catastrophic event can be found right on the surface of Mars. Concentrated on one side of the planet are over 3,000 craters, measuring 20 miles in diameter.
If an asteroid a mile across were to hit the Martian surface, it's estimated that that would have the impact and the force equivalent to a 1 million megaton nuclear weapon. That is 10 million times the force of what was released in Hiroshima.
The debris raised by such an asteroid could block out the sun, effectively killing all life on the planet. But could there be another explanation for these enormous craters? One that points to a very advanced ancient civilization on Mars. and a Martian nuclear apocalypse. Ancient Roman records point to accounts of what was referred to as fire in the sky. Both Romans and Babylonians named it for their god of war. Was Mars once home of a violent and distant battle between an alien species? And could any survivors still be alive today?
For years, we've been debating about what the Martians might look like. Science fiction gives us all kinds of different variations of what these aliens are. But in 2008, the Spirit rover gave us our first clear picture, which could show us who the Martians are.
Unsealed case file, The Creature of Mars. In 2008, the Mars Spirit rover transmitted a panorama back to Earth from the West Valley of Mars. At first look, this photograph appears to merely be a stunning view of the Martian terrain. But closer inspection exposes a chilling revelation. A humanoid figure, seeming to walk just behind a ridge. It appears to have a head, a torso, even legs, caught in mid-stride. Could this real photographic evidence be a creature captured alive on the surface of Mars? If this is truly a living creature, we could be looking at a post-apocalyptic Martian survivor, a rare example of an extraterrestrial species still hiding on an alien planet. You may think we'll never know, but if expert predictions are right, the invasion of Mars could be just around the corner. Coming up next, the event that could put you face to face with an alien race. Earth invades planet Mars. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. The time to act is now. There are 3 simple steps you can take to unseal the truth.
Follow on Twitter.
Follow the Unsealed Twitter feed to receive breaking news of the latest alien happenings as they develop.
Tell your story.
Have you seen a UFO?
Whatever we encountered affected our memory.
Upload stories and pictures to our interactive map.
Join the movement.
Get the Unsealed bracelet and the unique code hidden underneath to access exclusive content. Stop living in the dark.
It is definitely coming this way.
Get involved in the fight to unseal the truth. Now. For decades, man has feared the potential invasion of Earth by Martians. But a twist of modern science could bring humans to invade Mars. In January 2013, the Mars 1 was announced. It could be the first private spacecraft to land on the Red Planet. It is scheduled to arrive on Mars within the next 10 years. And its cargo? A volunteer group of human colonists from Earth. They will live on and develop Mars for the remainder of their lives. These brave pioneers could explore an alien world, beginning a peaceful colonization or an intergalactic war. But at last, we may answer the question, is there life on Mars? This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Black suits, inhuman eyes, and a secret, possibly unearthly agenda. They are the Men in Black.
They show up in the dead of the night, and they don't take no for an answer.
For decades, UFO experts and abductees have reported the strange appearance of ominous investigators after alleged UFO sightings. Their stories are virtually identical.
These sinister figures have been dubbed the Men in Black on the basis of their smart black clothing. Men in Black have been seen traditionally traveling either in pairs or in threes. Men in Black apparently visit some UFO witnesses, themselves clad in black, very smartly dressed, rather like the old image of an FBI G-man.
Oftentimes the witness hasn't told anybody about their experience, so it's kind of strange that these guys show up without any provocation or invitation.
Tonight, we uncover the real story and expose incredible evidence that puts you face to face with the most infamous men in UFO history. Join us as the mystery of the Men in Black is unsealed. A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades, detailing every UFO account, are now available to the public. We are about to uncover the truth behind these classified documents. Find out what the government doesn't want you to know. Unsealed. Alien Files. Exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. The Men in Black. Their existence was made famous by films starring Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones as comic, alien-fighting secret agents. But reports of real-life encounters with these shadowy figures tells a very different tale from the Hollywood legend.
When Hollywood portrays Men in Black, especially in the movies, they're kind of comical. However, from the reports that I've seen regarding actual Men in Black visitations, they're a lot darker than that. They're more mysterious. They're very scary. They're very threatening looking, and they're nowhere in comparison what Hollywood portrays them to be.
Investigator Antonio Perez should know. Founder of the Aerial Phenomenon Investigations Team, or API, he has been studying real-life cases of the Men in Black for over 10 years. The Men in Black he has studied are well known in the UFO community. They are feared as ominous inquirers and silencers of UFO witnesses ever since their first known sighting in 1956.
Men in Black reports were first popularized in Gray Barker's 1956 cult classic book, They Knew Too Much About Flying Saucers.
The book recounts shocking UFO encounters from Brush Creek, California to Bridgeport, Connecticut. Even documents on file with the FBI recount Barker's book and the interest surrounding 3 men in black suits who reportedly silenced journalist Albert Bender.
Albert Bender was a researcher of UFO phenomenon. He received a case file of an alien abduction, and when he went to publish his article about that abduction case, he got a visit from some pretty angry Men in Black.
Bender was only days away from publishing his story when his visit from the Men in Black occurred. While Bender never disclosed exactly what happened, he also never published the abduction report. Whether they were government agents is unknown, but this 1954 document from the FBI vault does name Albert Bender as a person of interest. Since this report, Men in Black accounts have surfaced all over the world, and they are always uniform in description.
Men in Black have a very particular appearance. They're always immaculately dressed. They're always, of course, in black. Sometimes they'll be very robotic in their movements. Often they'll refer to each other, not by names, but by numbers.
These silencers, as some call them, frequently appear days or even hours after a UFO sighting is reported. According to accounts, they approach witnesses while they are alone, often in the dead of night.
When witnesses are visited by Men in Black, oftentimes it's a very intimidating meeting. They're interrogated, they're made to feel scared either for their lives or for their safety, and they usually stop talking about whatever it was they saw after the Men in Black leave.
The Men in Black are often reported to arrive in unmarked black cars, or sometimes in an even more intimidating vehicle.
Witnesses often claim that the Men in Black show up in black unmarked vehicles. They also have been known to be in black unmarked helicopters, and they just seem to hover there for several minutes, kind of surveying the person and the area.
While it may be clear that these investigators want to silence the truth about UFOs, the biggest mystery is who these beings are.
Many people believe there's a government conspiracy, that the truth about the UFO phenomenon is being kept from the public. They see the men in black as the guardians of this secret.
Coming up next, shocking details of real men in black encounters.
She felt like they could read her mind, that she couldn't hide anything from them.
All leading to the ultimate proof that will reveal the real men in black in the flesh. You won't believe your eyes. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. The Men in Black. It is only through the strange reports of their victims that we are able to begin to try to understand the true nature of these mysterious beings.
One of the most famous accounts of the Men in Black is probably the 1964 case of Englishman Jim Templeton.
Templeton, a local firefighter in Carlisle, United Kingdom, had recently reported an encounter with what many believe to be an extraterrestrial. On a family outing, Templeton decided to take a photograph of his daughter in an area known as Solway Firth. Taking 3 photos of his daughter alone in the beautiful natural setting, Templeton and his family then went on to enjoy the day. It was only later, when the film was developed, that it became clear this was no ordinary outing. In the second of the 3 photos, a strange and ominous figure is seen standing behind his daughter. The figure appears to be wearing some sort of spacesuit. This would become known worldwide as the Solway Firth Spaceman. But it was what happened after seeing the spaceman that could reveal the existence of the Men in Black.
Shortly after this incident, Jim Templeton was visited by 2 men. They claimed to be from the authorities, quizzed him about the whole incident. These 2 individuals were very smartly dressed and all in black. Furthermore, they referred to themselves by numbers. All of this looked very strange.
The men demand that Templeton take them to the site where the alleged spaceman was photographed.
They took him to the marsh so that he could show them where he took the photo, as if they were investigating what could have happened on the marsh to get that image in the photo. But when Templeton asked the men for identification, they never showed him. All they said was they worked for Her Majesty's government.
Then they asked Templeton a surprising and unsettling question. They want to know where he saw the second spaceman. But Templeton never saw a second spaceman. When he insists there was only one, they become strange and hostile.
Why would they have asked him about a second spaceman? Did they know something Templeton did not know?
The British Ministry of Defense denies ever having investigators on the case. But the very appearance of these men in the United Kingdom seems to dispel the common thought that these investigators are American FBI agents. Just who are the Men in Black? One man may have the answer.
When cases come in, we kind of go through what we call a triage. And that triage, we have different check marks. And so one of those check marks are, for example, multiple witnesses, some type of photo or sketch, preferably a daylight sighting, and most importantly is a credible witness.
Antonio Paris is a former U.S. Army counterintelligence officer, as well as a Department of Defense counterintelligence special agent. As founder and director of the Aerial Phenomena Investigations Team, he has acquired some of the most compelling evidence in the history of Men in Black. Currently, Antonio is investigating a woman who will stop at nothing to seek the truth about one particular man in black. Her father.
This witness, which we'll call Jane Doe, told me about a story that she kept with her entire life. And that story was that her dad was allegedly a Man in Black. Her father would go around to military bases, specifically Army and Air Force bases, and that he would harass the airmen and the soldiers who reported UFOs. And on some occasions, he would threaten them with their lives. She also told the stories about him seeing dead aliens and crashed UFOs.
This woman who has asked to remain anonymous, wishes only to find answers as to who her father truly was. And to ensure her safety, she waited until his death.
Some of the documents that Jane Doe provided was pictures of her dad in uniform, pictures of her dad in Guam, pictures of her dad allegedly with President Eisenhower serving as a bodyguard, and pictures of her dad also serving in Guam with the 509th Bomber Group who dropped the first bomb in Hiroshima.
Upon his death, his wife destroys nearly all of his records pertaining to the U.S. government. An official from the government allegedly informs the daughter that she will be tracked for her own protection. Perhaps the risk had something to do with this man's military group, the 509th Composite Group, the same unit as the one stationed at Roswell during the reported UFO crash of 1947.
These are the FBI, the CIA, the Ministry of Defense, whoever it is, going out, finding out what the witnesses know, then making sure they don't talk about it.
This man's story has never been made public until now. But Antonio's evidence of the Men in Black does not end there. Coming up next, what could be cold, hard evidence that the Men in Black are real and could be coming for you?
This film footage is genuine. Men in Black isn't just a successful Hollywood movie franchise, it's real.
This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. The Men in Black. For decades, they have terrorized UFO witnesses, baffling theorists with stories of their inhuman behavior. But could UFO investigator Antonio Perez finally have proof that could expose the Men in Black as a frightening reality?
One of my most famous cases regarding Men in Black happened in 2008, where two Men in Black visited a hotel up in the Niagara Falls, and we have video footage of them coming in.
Unsealed case file, The Real Men in Black. Niagara Falls, Canada. A hotel manager is outside when he spots a blinding white light above the Niagara River.
What struck me about this case is that they saw a giant black triangle, but more importantly, this black triangle was the size of a football field, and it made no noise, and it just gently hovered over the hotel, and the two witnesses were just at awe at what they saw.
A report is filed with the local UFO investigation group. Days later, when the manager is off duty, another hotel manager receives frightened calls from the hotel staff. They report two bizarre men interrogating people in the hotel lobby.
Eyewitnesses said that these two individuals didn't have eyebrows or eyelashes. They were clean shaven. They didn't blink.
According to employees, the two men scour the hotel grounds in search of their victim. They are hostile and begin harassing the staff as to the manager's whereabouts. For the quiet woman behind the tour desk, the ordeal becomes too terrifying to handle.
One person said it was like they could read her mind. It's almost like looking straight through into her soul.
Finally, the mysterious men depart. The staff report feeling confused, disturbed, and extremely scared.
This would all just be speculation. Thankfully, the hotel manager thought to go and get the security tape. So now, for the first time, we have evidence of the Men in Black.
This footage is real. It may be the first physical proof of the most elusive figures in the history of UFO investigation. Could these be the real Men in Black?
If you watch this video, you see patrons and workers coming in and out, very casual. But then these two dark figures appear. But watch closely as these two Men in Black enter the building.
It is evidence enough for experts to draw several chilling conclusions.
If you look closely at these two men, you see they are wearing the exact identical outfit. They're also the exact same stature. These guys looked identical.
These are trademark characteristics of the Men in Black, and their presence is clearly felt by onlookers in the video.
As the men enter the building, you see what appears to be a valet or a bellboy go to the left-hand side of frame. Now, as he does this, he's watching these men walk in. He does his business, comes back out, and immediately is looking back to see what these two characters are doing. So obviously there's some suspicion there from somebody who works at the hotel.
The witness keeps a safe distance from the men. He follows them back in, changing directions. He never takes his eyes off of them. Meanwhile, a young boy looks transfixed as he passes the ominous figures.
So as these men in black walk by out of camera reach, we see a young boy come into frame. He turns, he looks, obviously fascinated at what these people are and what they're doing. Even so much so that when the boy leaves, he turns around and is peering through the glass, trying to figure out, who are these people?
Now, by freezing and enhancing the image, we can reveal exactly what terrified witnesses about these strange beings.
They had no facial hair, large blue eyes, and completely pale skin. But the most frightening thing that the witnesses report is that these men didn't blink once, not once, in the entire time they were there.
It is through this analysis that we can finally answer the question, who are the men in black? But brace yourself. The true face of these dark agents is like nothing you've prepared for. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. This is Unsealed Alien Files. The time to act is now. There are 3 simple steps you can take to unseal the truth.
Follow on Twitter.
Follow the Unsealed Twitter feed to receive breaking news of the latest alien happenings as they develop.
Tell your story.
Have you seen a UFO?
Whatever we encountered affected our memory.
Upload stories and pictures to our interactive map.
Join the movement.
Get the Unsealed bracelet and the unique code hidden underneath to access exclusive content. Stop living in the dark.
It's definitely coming this way.
Get involved in the fight to unseal the truth. Now. The Men in Black. Identical robotic beings cloaked in black with a single motive. For years we have wondered, who are they? But perhaps the question really is, what are they?
Even from the first Men in Black report in the 40s, the idea has always been that these may not just be people working for the government, that they may in fact be extraterrestrials themselves.
Hairless faces, robotic movements, telepathic knowledge. Could these be telltale signs that the Men in Black are extraterrestrial agents here to hide alien knowledge from the public?
Some people have speculated that Men in Black sightings and cases such as the Solway Firth spaceman are proof of aliens among us, shape-shifting aliens, mostly in human form, but sometimes showing their true image.
If these hair-raising visits from the Men in Black continue, our world is in for a rude awakening. One that could result in the complete silence of the human race. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Aliens and the military. The list of global threats to the human race is long. But could Earth's armed forces be facing a new enemy that is literally out of this world?
We have only to open our eyes to see how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And yet, I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
From UFO dogfights to acts of alien aggression against the planet's most powerful weapons of mass destruction, we will expose military evidence that could prove world governments have long been preparing for the next great global conflict, a real-life war of the worlds. Tonight, we present surprising cases of alien engagement and their cover-ups. Join us as the secrets of aliens and the military are unsealed. A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades, detailing every UFO account, are now available to the public. We are about to uncover the truth behind these classified documents. Find out what the government doesn't want you to know. Unsealed. Alien Files. Exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. The coast of Northern California, September 17th, 2012. The online newspaper Veterans Today reports a shocking military action. According to a leaked classified memo, warships from the United States and China have joined forces in the Pacific. Their target is cited as a highly unfriendly extraterrestrial threat. Normally at odds, the unlikely alliance raises fears of a doomsday scenario.
When you look at the evidence, if the planet Earth were to ever face an invasion from an extraterrestrial race, and it really wouldn't be a war between this country and that country. Those boundaries would fade away, and that we would have to come together and fight that war together.
The U.S. government has not confirmed the story, nor does it acknowledge that any evidence of alien spacecraft exists. But if there is no clear and present danger from aliens, why are American armed forces preparing for a UFO threat? Unsealed case file, Air Force Instruction 10-206. In 2011, shattering evidence of the Air Force's belief in UFOs is uncovered.
While investigating whether or not the military in today's world was still investigating UFOs, I discovered Air Force Manual 10-206. This was undeniable proof to me that on the books there were still instructions for reporting unidentified flying objects.
Although the public story remains that the military and the government have no interest in UFOs, Air Force Instruction 10-206 proves otherwise.
This was not a manual from the 1960s or 1970s. We now have a manual, undeniable proof that the military was still actively investigating these UFO records, these UFO reports, and these UFO sightings. That's very, very significant because that is 100% contradictory to what the military wants you to believe.
The military built to respond to the world's deadliest threats has officially placed flying saucers on the threat board. Even more shocking, they had been there for more than 40 years. In 1968, cadets at the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado, are issued a textbook titled Introductory Space Science. In it is a section that has become known simply as Chapter 33. Its subject, unidentified flying objects.
This book was not a work of science fiction. This was an actual military manual that was being utilized by military students, and they were being trained by this book.
Chapter 33 presents evidence that UFOs are a global phenomenon which may have persisted for thousands of years. It recognizes several explanations for these craft. Among them, the possibility that these UFOs are either manned or remote controlled by beings who are alien to this planet.
The military wants us to believe that they are completely closed-minded to the topic of UFOs. Maybe this textbook shows that they're a little bit more open to the idea than they want us to believe.
Could these pages of AF 10-206 be a smoking gun that exposes what the military is secretly preparing for? The next case shows those preparations were not enough when the military was attacked by UFOs. Coming up next, a UFO dogfight exposes human weapons to be useless against an alien threat. This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. From a reported naval battle with UFOs to the discovery of an Air Force alien defense plan, conflicts between extraterrestrials and the military are happening throughout the world. But are mankind's defenses any match for alien weaponry? Unsealed case file, alien blackout weapons. Iran, September 19, 1976. Authorities received multiple reports of a strange object over the capital city, Tehran. The Imperial Iranian Air Force dispatches a fighter jet to intercept. Military records from the incident describe a chilling, close encounter.
When they finally had visual contact, they asked what should we do, and the base gave them permission to fire. And just when he was ready to squeeze the trigger and fire a missile at this thing, his whole dashboard basically went dead. His cockpit went out electronically. He was still flying, but it was all disarmed. So he couldn't fire a missile, he couldn't do anything.
The Iranian jet's weapon systems have been completely disabled, rendering it helpless. At the time, no craft in existence had that kind of control jamming power. Even today, it's still the stuff of science fiction.
The object that the pilots described was very luminous. They also described multiple colored lights flashing very, very quickly on the bottom of the object. This is an amazing description in a United States government document. This is an astronomical find when trying to figure out exactly what the military might be hiding.
Can UFOs disarm the world's defenses with little or no effort at all? It's a terrifying prospect. But the Tehran incident wasn't the first time alien spaceships were reported to have disarmed our weapon systems. March 16, 1967. America's eyes are focused on the war in Vietnam. Meanwhile, a terrifying scenario is unfolding in its own backyard. 10 nuclear warheads at Malmstrom Air Force Base in Montana are fully operational and waiting for launch commands. Captain Robert Salas is working 60 feet underground as part of the 490th Strategic Missile Squad. He suddenly receives a phone call from above. Hovering over the base is a UFO.
We had multiple military personnel viewing this object that was hovering directly above a missile silo that housed 10 nuclear missile warheads.
Suddenly, all 10 nuclear warheads have been disarmed, leaving them completely inoperable.
According to the official report for this incident, they do acknowledge that multiple military personnel witnessed a UFO or UFOs above the base, but it also states that there was no reasonable explanation for the silo to be shut down. If this report is true, and the UFO's presence was connected to this nuclear missile silo being shut down, what are they trying to tell us about the most dangerous weapons we have in our military arsenal?
The Malmstrom is a terrifying example of UFOs disarming humanity's most destructive weapons with no effort at all. 15 years later, they would once again toy with our nuclear weapons. Only this time, they wouldn't deactivate them, but instead push humanity to the brink of doomsday. Unsealed case file, the Ukrainian incident. 1982, the Cold War between the United States and the Soviet Union has hit a fever pitch. Nuclear missile sites on both sides are on constant alert. On the evening of October 4th, multiple witnesses report strange lights appearing in the sky above the long-range nuclear missile base at Usovo. They perform a series of acrobatic maneuvers, but suddenly, the dazzling light show takes a terrifying turn. Below ground in the silo, control panels spring to life on their own. The missiles are preparing to launch. For 15 heart-stopping seconds, base personnel watch helplessly as the world teeters on the brink of Armageddon. But then, just as suddenly as the launch sequence began, the system shuts down. While outside, the mysterious lights have disappeared. With so many UFO confrontations occurring between the world's militaries and UFOs, why is the truth being kept secret?
I think if the military were to capture or be given alien technology, I think they would absolutely want to keep that to themselves.
I can only come up with two reasons. One, to make sure there's no mass hysteria, that people aren't going out and trying to shoot these UFOs down with their own guns. Two, and more importantly, they want to keep this technology for themselves.
Coming up next, secret plans reveal Air Force flying saucers and anti-alien weapons that all point to an incredible discovery. America could be preparing for an extraterrestrial invasion. This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. Throughout the 20th century, militaries around the world have experienced strange and unusual encounters with UFOs that defy explanation. And the occurrences of these confrontations is rising at an alarming rate. But where did it all begin? Was there a landmark first encounter? Los Angeles, February 24th, 1942. America has just entered World War II, and 100,000 people are awoken in the dead of night as the Army fires over 1,400 anti-aircraft rounds at what photo evidence proves to be an unidentified flying object. But officials have a very different explanation.
The United States military maintains that the object was simply a weather balloon, and yet not a single piece of evidence was ever recovered.
U.S. military run-ins with UFOs continue through decades, including the ultimate encounter, the Army's alleged recovery of a downed alien aircraft in Roswell, New Mexico.
July 8th, 1947. The Army Air Force has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
These encounters bear an uncanny resemblance to other military standoffs with UFOs over South America, Iran, China, Russia, and countless other places around the world. But why have these incidents been steadily rising since the Second World War? The answer only seems to raise more disturbing questions.
We've been spending billions of dollars on our military budget for advancing our technology. And it's only now, in the last 10, 20 years, that we've been able to capture evidence of these UFOs and even, according to some people, engage them in combat. And maybe the real question is where this technology came from in the first place.
Unsealed case file, America's flying saucers. Officially, the United States government has never admitted to recovering a UFO or researching alien spacecraft to develop human weaponry. But new evidence may show otherwise.
Many of the declassified documents that are surfacing even today are showing technology that was on the drawing board and even being built by our military that could only be described as flying saucers.
In 2012, declassified files from the National Archives revealed schematics for a secret U.S. Air Force prototype known as Project 1794, a flying disc capable of vertical takeoff or landing, or VTOL.
If plans for 1794 had actually come to fruition, we could have been looking at the first aircraft capable of actually outmaneuvering other UFOs. The projections clearly show that it's capable of speeds up to 2,600 miles per hour and can shoot through the stratosphere. It could have flown from New York to Miami in only 24 minutes.
But Project 1794 was not alone. Some designs, like those for Project Silverbug, were also discovered in military files. And others, like the Avro car, had test footage revealed to the public.
Think about the power and technology that our military could have utilized if 1794 came off the drawing boards. It didn't need a runway. You could store them in some underground installation with a small opening where these things would take off straight up in the air and be able to fight in a conflict. So this technology was something that the military, I think, really wanted, not only at the time, but probably even today.
Some believe the design for these discs was recovered from Nazi aircraft designed to launch from the cratered runways of World War II. But could these UFO-like military craft have their roots in alien intelligence?
We still see the influence of flying saucers and UFOs in today's military technology. In fact, many civilians who have seen this military technology being transported on the freeway or even being tested will report these craft as being UFOs.
What does it look like?
A UFO? I mean, I don't really know. I don't see too many UFOs in the regular.
I mean, does it look like a spaceship?
Yeah.
Everything from stealth technology to sonic weapons could have been extracted from alien knowledge. The real question here is whether our military is trying to protect us from humans or from some sort of alien threat.
Is it possible the American military is preparing itself to fend off an extraterrestrial menace?
I ask you, is not an alien force already among us?
Many political leaders have talked about the possibility of ET presence here on Earth.
One such political leader is Paul Hellyer. Hellyer is the former Canadian Minister of Defense and could be one of the most qualified individuals ever to speak on the alien presence. Hellyer was recently quoted. The reality is that aliens have been visiting Earth for decades and probably millennia and have contributed considerably to our knowledge. But could this government insider also know the truth of a looming military conflict with an alien race?
Paul Hellyer also shared information about the United States that could very well expose the idea that we are preparing for an epic war of the worlds.
Coming up next, the shocking confession about plans for a real-life Death Star and the distant battlefield where Earth's fate may ultimately be decided. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. The time to act is now. There are 3 simple steps you can take to unseal the truth.
Follow on Twitter.
Follow the Unsealed Twitter feed to receive breaking news of the latest alien happenings as they develop.
Tell your story.
Have you seen a UFO?
Whatever we encountered affected our memory.
Upload stories and pictures to our interactive map.
Join the movement.
Get the Unsealed bracelet and the unique code hidden underneath to access exclusive content. Stop living in the dark.
It is definitely coming this way.
Get involved in the fight to unseal the truth. Now. UFO experts have often speculated about secret preparations to combat a possible alien invasion. But former Canadian Minister of Defense Paul Hellyer has indicated that the United States may already have a defense outpost for an interplanetary war.
According to Hellyer, Dick Cheney and George Bush were giving permission for the U.S. military and government to build a base on the moon.
Could the moon be Earth's first line of defense from cosmic enemies?
Having a base on the moon might prepare us for military battle with an ET presence. Obviously, if they're coming from space, that might give us a strategic stronghold to wage battle.
If these stories are true, alien conflict is on the rise around the globe. Could we soon be under worldwide attack by an extraterrestrial intelligence? If so, the militaries of the world may one day be called upon to band together for a final stand as a united army of planet Earth. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. UFO sightings have exploded into a worldwide phenomenon. But America's Southwest is without a doubt ground zero to the greatest UFO hotspots of all time. Roswell, New Mexico, and Area 51. These 2 sites and the events surrounding them represent the most hotly debated UFO mysteries in history. And thanks to the United States government's unprecedented secrecy, the public knows dangerously little of what really happened. Now, new evidence has surfaced that will blow this decades-long UFO conspiracy wide open, all revealing the shocking story the government doesn't want you to hear. From rogue CIA agents to startling accounts of advanced UFO technology, join us as the secrets of Roswell and Area 51 are unsealed. A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades, detailing every UFO account, are now available to the public. We are about to uncover the truth behind these classified documents. Find out what the government doesn't want you to know. Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Quantico, Virginia, April 2011. The FBI's official website is overwhelmed by traffic, triggered by the release of a mysterious 60-year-old memo addressed to former FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover. Its explosive contents may at last reveal the truth behind the biggest alien conspiracy of all time. Unsealed case file, the Guy Hotel memo. Guy Hotel was a former special agent in charge of the FBI's Washington field office. In a memo dated March 22, 1950, he records an eyewitness account of an incident in 1947 that would change the course of human history. The recovery of flying saucers crashed in the New Mexico desert. In the memo, Hotel states, they were described as being circular in shape, with raised centers, approximately 50 feet in diameter. Each one was occupied by 3 bodies of human shape, but only 3 feet tall. The 2011 release of this previously classified document sends shockwaves throughout the UFO community. It finally confirms what independent investigators have long suspected, that the U.S. government knows about the existence of extraterrestrials and has deliberately kept it hidden from the public. Many conclude the memo to be the first official account of the most infamous UFO case of all time, the Roswell incident. Unsealed case file, the Roswell incident. Roswell, New Mexico, 1947. On the night of July 2nd, the Wilmots, a local couple, see a glowing disc-shaped object plummet from the sky at a blistering speed. It disappears beyond a line of trees northwest of town. The Wilmots aren't sure they believe their eyes. The next morning, ranch worker Mac Brazel discovers a trail of metallic debris in approximately the same place where the Wilmots' flying disc disappeared the night before. Brazel collects some of the strange material and brings it to the local sheriff's office. The sheriff quickly notifies officials at Roswell Army Air Force Base that there has been some kind of air crash, and the base sends Major Jesse Marcel to the site to investigate. His son Jesse remembers the event in vivid detail.
He came back real late one night, about 2 o'clock in the morning, as I recall, very excited because he woke myself, my mother up saying they found parts of a UFO or a flying saucer.
The wreckage is unlike anything Marcel has ever seen. Nonetheless, the investigation under Base Commander Colonel William H. Blanchard starts out as routine.
People always talk about the cover-up of the crash at Roswell, but actually, in the very beginning, there was no cover-up. The Army stepped right up and admitted that there was a crash of a flying saucer at Roswell and that they retrieved that actual disc itself.
I was instructed by Colonel Blanchard to put out a press release which in effect stated that we had in our possession a flying saucer.
July 8, 1947. The Army Air Force has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
The announcement is a bombshell. America has recovered a bona fide UFO. The story, naming the Wilmots as witnesses, quickly goes national and then international. The military is caught completely off guard. The next day, in a sudden about-face, they retract the statement, declaring the Roswell wreckage to be that of an ordinary weather balloon. It's a stunning reversal that raises many questions. Why did the military change their story? What did they really have on their hands? What were they trying to hide? Now, over 60 years later, eyewitnesses have come forward with stunning new details that will uncover the devastating truth behind the Roswell incident. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. Roswell, New Mexico, July 1947. A mysterious object crashes in the desert outside town. The U.S. military announces to the world it has recovered the wreckage of a flying saucer, only to retract the statement the following day. Many believe the military is hiding something. The question is, what? the Pentagon holds a press conference at which Major Jesse Marcel presents a sample of the material he allegedly recovered.
Marcel is asked to pose in front of that debris, and the Army then retracts the story of the crash at Roswell and says it's actually a weather balloon. In other words, Colonel Blanchard had to agree to make Major Marcel look like a fool in the eyes of all the media, basically putting this black mark on a career intelligence officer's military career.
This is my father holding up what is very obviously parts of radar target with balloon debris. This is not what was seen on the floor of our kitchen that evening or that late early morning hours in 1947. This is totally different.
The press conference is just one of many cover-ups surrounding Roswell, and some have deadly implications. The original news article cited the Wilmots as the only eyewitnesses to the crash. In reality, they were far from alone. There were multiple eyewitnesses that night, and unlike the Wilmots, many set out for the crash site to investigate, only to discover all routes cut off by military roadblocks. The troops on hand had a chilling message for any who approached.
He said, "You never saw anything. You were not there. You don't know anything." And he said, "We can just take you out in the middle of this desert and no one will ever find your bodies." He said, "You'll be nothing but bones and nobody will ever know what happened to you."
What secret could drive the military to resort to cold-blooded threats? The answer comes from a man who was on the actual crash response team.
We learned right then and there it wasn't a plane. The craft was opened halfway and one body was inside the craft. Then we radioed to have a truck, a flatbed, and a crane and everything else just come out to the side to clear everything off.
As the years pass, fewer and fewer witnesses to the original events remain, but some refuse to take their secrets to the grave. Unsealed case file, the Roswell Confessions. 2002, Walter Haut, the man behind the Roswell press release, produces a sworn affidavit revealing the details behind the original cover-up. In it, he provides a compelling first-hand account of his viewing of both the Roswell wreckage and the bodies of the UFO's alien crew.
Here's what really happened in the aftermath of the Roswell crash from the eyewitness. Lieutenant Walter Haut, Public Information Officer, and this was an affidavit in a court of law. This carries enormous weight.
In 2012, a 35-year veteran of the CIA's clandestine services with high-level security clearance is working in one of the CIA's many vaults when he discovers a box simply marked Roswell. Inside, he discovers a startling collection of papers and photos that reveal what really happened that fateful night in 1947. Rather than continue the deception, he decides to tempt fate and go public. In his words, "I absolutely know that there was a craft from beyond this world that crashed at Roswell, that the military picked up remains of not just that wreckage, but cadavers, and all of that was made public for a short while." But what happened to the wreckage? And more importantly, what became of the alien bodies? Coming up next, answers to the biggest questions of our time may lie deep inside America's most infamous military base, Area 51. This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. What happened to the debris from the Roswell crash? And where are the alien bodies rumored to have been recovered from the wreckage? The truth may lie in the most heavily guarded place on Earth. Unsealed case file, Area 51, declassified. Deep in the Nevada desert, 83 miles northwest of Las Vegas, is an unidentified American Air Force base. Some call it Dreamland. Others call it Paradise Ranch. The the only official record of its existence lies deep inside a top-secret CIA file, where it is simply known as Area 51. Originally, the site was an airfield for bomber training units during the Second World War and abandoned in 1946. But it wasn't long before the military finds a new use for the remote base.
Area 51 began as actually a research and assembly facility, an Air Force assembly facility for the development of the first spy plane.
Today, the area is cordoned off and the airspace overhead restricted. Unmarked security vehicles patrol the perimeter. Anyone daring to cross will be shot. Anyone daring to violate its airspace will be shot down.
This place was so secret that you couldn't even admit you worked in Area 51.
UFO experts believe Area 51 is the research and test facility of the Roswell crash debris. Was the Roswell wreckage really taken to Area 51? Has anyone who worked inside dared to go public to reveal the research going on inside the perimeter? According to Los Angeles Times writer Annie Jacobson, they have. Recently, she conducted an extensive series of interviews with former Area 51 employees. One engineer who worked at the site in 1978 confirmed the debris and bodies from Roswell were in fact taken to Area 51 for testing. But in a stunning twist, he goes on to say that they were in no way alien in origin. Unsealed case file, the Soviet stratagem. 1945. The war is over. Germany and Japan are defeated. But lasting peace remains elusive. America and the Soviet Union are now at odds, and the threat of another war is very real. Stalin knows the U.S. holds the upper hand with its new arsenal of nuclear weapons. To win, he must chip away at America's will to fight. Stalin devises an extraordinary plan. He intends to land an alien-looking aircraft flown by alien-looking pilots in the heart of the United States. His goal is to incite a UFO panic like that caused by Orson Welles with his 1938 radio adaptation of H.G. Wells's War of the Worlds. The Soviet saucer will be a modified version of a captured German aircraft known as a flying wing. But how to create plausible-looking alien pilots? For this, Stalin turns to the unlikeliest of allies, Nazi doctor Joseph Mengele. During the war, Mengele performed unspeakable experiments on human subjects at Auschwitz, where he became known as the Angel of Death. Stalin's agents seek out Mengele and ask him to put his terrible skills to work to create plausible-looking alien pilots. According to Annie Jacobson's source, Mengele experiments on teenagers, producing hideous deformities that bear a striking resemblance to the aliens described in the Guy Hotel memo. It's an evil plot, foiled only at the last minute by a bizarre twist of fate. Crossing into American airspace, the remote control craft is caught in a storm that sends it falling from the sky near Roswell. Was Roswell really a Soviet plan to win the Cold War? Could the mountains of alien evidence at Roswell and Area 51 all be false? Or was Jacobson's source a government plant in yet another elaborate cover-up scheme? Another Area 51 insider tells a very different story. Bob Lazar claims to have worked inside Area 51 during the 1980s, where he conducted research on technology recovered from 9 different flying saucers.
Bob Lazar claimed that he was an engineer there and that his job was to reverse engineer the propulsion system of one of these craft. He had friends that he would bring out to Groom Lake on certain nights of the week so that they could see these things going up in the air.
Lazar has also revealed that the military wasn't just working with alien technology, it was actually working with the aliens themselves. And his description of them bears an uncanny resemblance to the aliens in the Guy Hotel memo. But if Lazar is telling the truth, then what has become of the futuristic aircraft built using alien technology? Coming up, we will hear the final terrifying truth about Area 51 from one of America's most respected aerospace engineers. On Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secrets on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. The time to act is now. There are 3 simple steps you can take to unseal the truth.
Follow on Twitter.
Follow the Unsealed Twitter feed to receive breaking news of the latest alien happenings as they develop.
Tell your story.
Have you seen a UFO?
Whatever we encountered affected our memory.
Upload stories and pictures to our interactive map.
Join the movement.
Get the Unsealed bracelet and the unique code hidden underneath to access exclusive content. Stop living in the dark.
It is definitely coming this way.
Get involved in the fight to unseal the truth. Now. What is going on inside Area 51? Is the military really experimenting with alien technology like that recovered at Roswell? Ben Rich was a director at Lockheed Martin's legendary Skunk Works production facility in Palmdale, California, from 1975 to 1991. In an interview conducted shortly before his death in 1995, Rich would reveal that American aerospace engineers have long been working with what he called hand-me-down alien technology.
It's famous for a statement that he made. Whatever you see out there, flying in the sky, cruising across the desert, we're 50 years ahead of that. In other words, we're already way ahead of what you think we have. Okay, that's interesting. Now, let's throw the ET component into it. If they've had one or more crash vehicles they've been studying for decades, then who knows how many years they are ahead. Maybe Ben Rich's statement is based on that.
Rich alleges this research was conducted under the direct oversight of the United States government until 1969, when Richard Nixon handed it over to an unidentified international board of directors. In his final days, Ben Rich realized this placed too much power in the hands of an elite few. The public had a right to know the disturbing legacy of Roswell and Area 51. Could the identity of Nixon's shadowy board of directors have been none other than the infamous Majestic 12? And if so, will they ultimately choose to use this advanced technology for the benefit of mankind or their own hidden agenda? This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. UFO phenomena occur all over the world. Shocking new evidence suggests that alien life on Earth may be hidden in some of the world's most isolated places. These locations are often travel restricted and signposted off limits. They say it is for our own protection, but could it actually be for the protection of alien visitors? Tonight, we unseal the shocking existence of alien operations in some of the most remote and forbidden regions on Earth. A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades, detailing every UFO account, are now available to the public. We are about to uncover the truth behind these classified documents. Find out what the government doesn't want you to know. Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secrets on planet Earth. Ladakh, India, November 2012. Over the past 2 months, more than 150 UFO sightings have been reported in a remote region near the Indo-Chinese border. One account in the Times of India describes how yellowish lights appear to lift off from the horizon on the Chinese side and slowly traverse the sky for 3 to 5 hours before disappearing. Ladakh lies in the Himalayas, the world's highest mountain range, and one of the most inaccessible regions on Earth. The Indian government investigates the claims, suspecting the UFOs to be Chinese drone aircraft patrolling the area. But the UFO descriptions don't match any known model of Chinese drone. Without explanation, the matter is declared closed.
A number of UFO reports that come in are actually military aircraft that civilians see and have no idea what they're looking at.
Are the Ladakh UFOs alien spacecraft? If so, could they have a base somewhere high in the Himalayas? It seems an ideal place to hide. The world is filled with remote locations, virtually inaccessible to the general public. Are extraterrestrials hiding in some of these remote sites? If so, who was on Earth first? Humans or aliens?
They live inside planet Earth. The weather began to change, the climate began to deteriorate, began to get colder, and these creatures migrated to warmer and warmer spots inside the Earth. They survived. They survived for millions of years, and when they made their way back to the surface of the Earth, bingo! What did they see? Human beings.
Unsealed case file. The Kincaid Expedition. March 1909. The Phoenix Gazette publishes 2 articles chronicling explorer G.E. Kincaid's recent expedition into the Grand Canyon. Kincaid claims to have uncovered a hidden underground city filled with artifacts that appear to be of Egyptian origin, hieroglyphic writing, and mummified remains stored in burial chambers. Experts from the Smithsonian visit the site to verify Kincaid's account. But on completion of their investigation, the site is suddenly declared off limits, and the entrance to the cave sealed off. Public access is banned to this day. The underground city is never mentioned again. The 2 stories printed in the Phoenix Gazette remain the only published accounts. Why would the Smithsonian cover up such an astounding archaeological find? And why has public access been banned? Apache, Zuni, and Hopi legends speak of strange humanoid creatures living among us in underground cities. These creatures are said to have saved humanity from a natural disaster that threatened to wipe out all life on Earth.
These ancient people had wisdom well beyond their years. So it begs the question, was there outside consultation? And could that have been from somebody with a bigger perspective on our little world?
These beliefs are not unique to North America. Many ancient cultures living oceans apart share strikingly similar tales. Cave drawings and hieroglyphics show ancient peoples living and working with extraterrestrials, often referring to them as gods. Were these stories told for the protection of humanity or to hide ancient alien activity on Earth?
One of the biggest unanswered questions about ancient civilizations and their connection to extraterrestrials is, would they make a record of it? And I think humans would absolutely make a record of aliens or extraterrestrials from another planet visiting and helping us.
The Mayans documented their extraterrestrial encounters in great detail. The best known example is the Pakal sarcophagus that many believe shows an alien astronaut piloting a spacecraft. But the Mayans did much more than depict stories of extraterrestrial travel. Throughout the Mayan region of Mexico, large sinkholes plunge deep into the earth. Called cenotes, they are sacred to the Mayan religion. The Mayans believe they can speak to the gods through cenotes, even travel to the underworld known as Xibalba, or place of fear. Are cenotes a Mayan vision of the home of the gods? Or were their gods actually aliens, making the cenotes a portal to an alien world? Coming up, we investigate possible alien infiltration of remote bases and their potential influence on modern technological advances. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. The world is filled with remote places that are dangerous to reach and often sealed off by authorities. Are governments keeping alien visitors a secret? If so, why are they harboring these extraterrestrials? Across Europe, cavern networks called Erdstall tunnels cover vast underground distances. Loosely translated, Erdstall means place in the earth. The exact number of Erdstall tunnels remains unknown as new passages continue to be discovered, including one that reopened a decades-old mystery. Unsealed case file, the Freiburg Tunnel. Freiburg, Germany, 2011. A new Erdstall tunnel opening is discovered on a dairy farm, but the location reminds many UFO experts of another infamous event. In 1936, Freiburg was the site of a mysterious UFO crash. Nazi scientists are said to have recovered advanced technology from the wreckage, then reportedly probed its secrets to create a new generation of superweapons.
During the 1930s and 1940s, the Nazis were making huge leaps forward with technology. One of the biggest pieces of technology that they had created was called the V2 rocket. Now, the V2 rocket was so highly advanced, it could actually deliver a weapons payload onto Great Britain.
Was the Freiburg Tunnel a UFO base? And if it was, were the aliens working with the Nazi government or against them? Remote locations are ideal places to conduct top-secret experiments away from the public eye. The unforgiving desert of the Australian outback offers the kind of deep cover governments seek the world over. Unsealed case file, Pine Gap. Its official name is the Joint Defense Research Space Agency, but it is better known as Pine Gap. Established in 1970 as a satellite tracking station, it is jointly run by the Australian and American militaries. But over the years, Pine Gap is said to have been repurposed into a top-secret testing ground for alien technology retrieved from UFO crash sites. But is there a difference between what the military tells you it knows and what it really knows? It's rumored the Pine Gap complex runs as deep as 5 miles into the earth. But what goes on beneath the desert remains unknown. For all the efforts to keep Pine Gap secret, a series of unexplained events has put the base under unwanted scrutiny. Locals have reported seeing mysterious white discs 30 feet in diameter floating in the sky near the base. Experts come to the stunning conclusion that they may in fact be man-made UFOs. Others believe they were constructed with direct assistance from aliens living and working in the labyrinth beneath the base. Hard evidence of the top-secret work underway at the base was collected from the most unexpected source imaginable. On March 15, 1991, the Space Shuttle Discovery was passing over the area when its cameras picked up something astonishing. The footage shows a massive UFO hurtling over Australia at an estimated speed of over 50,000 miles per hour, nearly 3 times the shuttle's top speed on launch. Some believe the UFO was the product of top-secret work underway at the base. But if aliens are working at remote sites like Pine Gap, are they friend or foe? Coming up, we investigate an isolated base in New Mexico. Evidence of what goes on in this terrifying facility may reveal the greatest betrayal of public trust in history. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. At secret bases like Pine Gap in the Australian outback, aliens are said to be helping scientists build futuristic aircraft and weapons. But are these aliens really our allies? Compelling evidence exists that humans and aliens may have already engaged in combat, deep inside one of the most closely guarded bases on Earth. Unsealed case file. The Battle of Dulce. Dulce, New Mexico, 1977. Cattle have been discovered mutilated. The cuts have been made with a surgical precision beyond the capability of any known technology. The bizarre crimes catch the attention of Albuquerque-based physicist and UFO researcher Paul Benowitz. During his independent investigation, he is introduced to a woman who claims to know what is behind the bizarre crimes. Under hypnosis, she reveals to Benowitz that she and her son were abducted by aliens and taken to an underground base. There, she saw not only cattle being mutilated and drained of their blood, but vats filled with human body parts. While there, the abductees were fitted with alien implants through which extraterrestrials could control their bodies. Benowitz is stunned by the woman's account. He begins monitoring communications in the area and picks up what he believes to be transmissions from an alien spaceship. Benowitz tracks the UFO to a remote area on the New Mexico-Colorado border that he dubs Dulce Base. In 1979, UFO insider Thomas Costello infiltrates Dulce and smuggles out shocking photos. Costello's photos show aliens conducting horrifying genetic experiments on humans. Even more shocking, Costello says the human subjects were abducted with the full consent of the United States government.
Another theory is the fact that they're genetically engineering humans, that it could serve some purpose in altering our genetic code or the way that we evolve as human beings. My guess is they could potentially make a life form that they would like us to evolve into, let alone just try and make another lesser being evolve into what they're aiming to create.
In a separate incident, a U.S. government employee, Phil Schneider, was helping to dig a labyrinth of tunnels below the base. Schneider's team inadvertently opened a large cavern where they stumble upon a group of aliens experimenting on captive humans. A battle ensues. Though severely wounded, Schneider escapes, but a number of his colleagues are killed in the conflict. According to Schneider, the tunnels below Dulce are a fraction of what lies beneath the surface of the United States. UFO investigators believe the underground network may have been created by a highly advanced drilling craft called a subterrane. Operating like a submarine, the subterrane is propelled by nuclear power and bores through the earth, leaving massive tunnels in its wake.
I think when you talk about the sheer technological power in the 21st century that you would need, you start nearing kind of an impossibility to pull this off, and they were able to do this. That's an amazing feat.
Once completed, the tunnels are traversed by maglev trains that may travel over 300 miles per hour. But where could they possibly lead? Experts believe a secret network of tunnels may connect some of the most sinister bases on the planet, like Dulce Base and Area 51. They may even lead to one of the strangest airports in America. Denver International Airport. This massive structure is the second largest airport in the world, covering 53 square miles. The terminals are decorated with art, depicting oppressive military imagery and apocalyptic visions. The strange works of art above ground only hint at what might be going on beneath. March 21st, 2013. A father and son notice strange lights in the sky from their suburban home. The Colorado residents track 3 glowing lights flying in a triangular formation in the sky above the Denver airport. Authorities at the airport refuse to comment, and an FAA spokesperson insists nothing out of the ordinary happened that night. Although the airport opened in 1995, construction beneath it has officially never stopped. The buildings reach 8 stories underground, deep enough to withstand the force of an atomic bomb. Connecting the terminals and baggage area is a passenger shuttle system. But at Denver International, there is a second, completely separate rail system. This allegedly links to the maglev tunnels and may allow the movement of alien technology from sites like Dulce. Coming up, they may have technology that's out of this world, but is extraterrestrial life also penetrating the very heart of American power? This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. The time to act is now. There are 3 simple steps you can take to unseal the truth.
Follow on Twitter.
Follow the Unsealed Twitter feed to receive breaking news of the latest alien happenings as they develop.
Tell your story.
Have you seen a UFO?
Whatever we encountered affected our memory.
Upload stories and pictures to our interactive map.
Join the movement.
Get the Unsealed bracelet and the unique code hidden underneath to access exclusive content. Stop living in the dark.
It is definitely coming this way.
Get involved in the fight to unseal the truth. Now. Across the world, aliens are reported to be operating out of remote locations, often with the full cooperation of top-secret government agencies. But they may no longer be content to live on the fringes of our world. One of the strangest stories about presidents and UFOs involves President Dwight D. Eisenhower. It is said that Eisenhower had not 1, not 2, but actually 3 or 4 meetings with extraterrestrials to establish an open skies agreement with them. According to one account, an extraterrestrial may have penetrated the highest office in the land. His name, Valiant Thor. Valiant Thor allegedly went to work at the Pentagon for 3 years when he was codenamed The Stranger. To this day, the chilling nature of his work for the United States government remains unknown. Is Valiant Thor's infiltration of the U.S. government in the guise of friend or foe? And what will become of the human race when every earthbound alien decides the time for hiding is over? This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. In the darkest days of the Second World War, Britain stood alone against the terror of the Nazi blitzkrieg. The nation rallied under the motto, "Keep calm and carry on," to turn the tide. Today, the UK faces a new kind of blitz by an infinitely more powerful invader.
There are certainly a huge number of UFO sightings in the United Kingdom. From the 1950s to the termination of the British government's UFO project, around 12,000 UFO sightings were investigated.
But the shocking details behind these incidents remain secret until now.
In May 2008, the process to release the British government's UFO files commenced. Some of these documents are largely blacked out.
Is Britain facing an alien invasion? And does the government know more than it's saying? Join us as the explosive secrets of the real British X-Files are unsealed. A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades, detailing every UFO account, are now available to the public. We are about to uncover the truth behind these classified documents. Find out what the government doesn't want you to know. Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Aberdeenshire, Scotland, 2012. It's the middle of a crisp fall night on the Scottish lowland. The Ritchie family is suddenly awakened by flashing lights in the sky. Looking out of the window, they are shocked to see a circular object hovering above their farm, where it remains for 4 hours. The family captures compelling video evidence of the encounter before it flies off. Authorities say they have no way of knowing what aircraft were in the area at the time. But how could one of the world's best air traffic authorities claim they don't know what's in their own airspace? Some experts believe the Ritchie sighting is just the latest in a long line of government cover-ups.
People had long suspected that the Ministry of Defense was far more closely involved in UFOs than they were letting on in public.
In 2008, the British government began releasing over 50 years of UFO files to the public.
These are hundreds of files, comprising in total tens of thousands of pages of documentation. When the government says that they're releasing information about UFOs, people should sit up and take notice. If just one of these sightings turns out to be the real thing, our world changes forever.
Unsealed case file. The British X-Files. Tangmere, West Sussex, June 1950. An RAF pilot is flying a training exercise when his jet is passed in midair by what he describes as a shining, revolving, disc-like object. It's just one in a rash of UFO encounters reported by the Royal Air Force and Royal Aircraft Establishment. The mounting evidence becomes too much for the government to ignore. They launch a top-secret investigation into these reports, dubbed the Flying Saucer Working Party. Britain, it seems, is taking the UFO question very seriously. But when the investigation's final report is issued a year later, all claims are dismissed.
The Flying Saucer Working Party concluded that there was nothing worth government time and resources.
Despite its reassuring conclusions, these findings are never made public. Why did the government hide a report that offered comfort and certainty to a frightened public? What did they have to gain by keeping people in the dark? Topcliffe, North Yorkshire, September 1952. A NATO exercise is underway, simulating a Soviet attack, when radar picks up an unexpected signal. Reports from the field describe a bright, fast-moving UFO, able to change direction with impossible ease. RAF jets scramble to pursue it, but are unable to identify the mysterious craft. The incident spurs Churchill's government into open action. In 1953, the Air Ministry is ordered to investigate UFO sightings on a permanent, ongoing basis. A new UFO hotline is established. But as one unclassified memo states, desk staff are instructed to be politely unhelpful. The Air Ministry will continue this charade until the desk is taken over by the Ministry of Defense in 1964. The MOD has a different view of UFOs. It sees the increase in sightings as a clear and present danger to Britain's national security and is about to launch an ultra-secret investigation of its own. 60 years later, its shocking findings are only now ready to be revealed. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. Throughout the 1950s and 60s, Britain experienced an unprecedented wave of UFO sightings. This peaks in 1966 and 67, a time when the world is preoccupied with psychedelic visions of the great beyond, the American space program, and the war in Vietnam. During this period, the government's UFO hotline records nearly 400 reported sightings. The alien debate reaches Parliament, much to the amusement of government skeptics. Behind the scenes, one department is taking the matter very seriously. The Ministry of Defense has set up a science specialist team called DI-55 to investigate UFO sightings. It's so secret that the public won't know of its existence until the 1990s.
The default position of the Ministry of Defense was to say nothing. The MOD is, by its very nature, an inherently secretive organization. There are few departments in government more secretive than the Ministry of Defense.
It's a trend that would continue throughout the 1970s and climax in the most infamous UFO incident in Britain's history. unsealed case file, the Rendlesham Forest Incident. Rendlesham Forest, Suffolk, December 1980. 2 American airmen stationed at nearby RAF Woodbridge witnessed what they at first believed to be a plane crash.
John Burroughs and Jim Penniston, together with some other military personnel, sought permission to go out into the forest to investigate what they initially thought was a crashed aircraft. When Burroughs and Penniston approached the site, they found in a small clearing not a crashed aircraft, but a landed UFO.
The incident, which occurred close to not just 1, but 2 RAF bases, represents an unprecedented breach of high-security airspace. And it wouldn't be the last.
On a subsequent night, a social function was taking place at the base where a young airman went up to the deputy base commander, Charles Holt, saluted and said, "Sir, it's back."
Holt is skeptical. Nonetheless, he goes to the landing site with a tape recorder and a Geiger counter.
We found a small blast, what looks like a blasted or scruffed up area here.
He picks up significant trace radiation readings.
The meter's definitely given pulse.
In the middle of his investigation, he notices mysterious flashing lights nearby.
Wait, guys, slow down. Where? Right in this position here, straight ahead, in between the tree. There it is again.
Holt records a breathless description of his encounter.
Directing north, we've got 2 strange objects, half-moon shape, dancing about with colored lights on them. Now we're observing what appears to be a beam coming down to the ground.
I've listened to this tape, and Colonel Holt is clearly describing how he and the men under his command see the UFO in the distance, and then notice the UFO actually coming closer.
It's coming this way. It is definitely coming this way.
The Rendlesham Forest incident is arguably Britain's most compelling and intriguing UFO case.
Rendlesham raises serious questions in Parliament about UFOs and the nation's security. Again, the Ministry of Defense responds saying it sees no real threat and considers the matter closed. But the Rendlesham case is far from closed. When the British X-Files are first made public, they include thousands of reported sightings from the years 1965 to 2009. But the files from 1980 to 82, including Rendlesham, are conspicuously missing. When questioned regarding their whereabouts, the MOD claims they were accidentally destroyed. Is it just a coincidence that records of UFO encounters before and after Rendlesham are now missing? Or is there another agenda at work? What more was in those files? It wouldn't be the last instance of sensitive UFO documents disappearing from the Ministry archives. Unsealed case file, the Pitlochry Protocol. Pitlochry, Scotland, 1990. 2 men walking in the countryside take photos of a strange diamond-shaped aircraft accompanied by 2 RAF jets. They send the photos and negatives to a Scottish regional paper, which doesn't print the story, but instead sends the evidence on to the MOD. Fearing the story might explode into a media circus, the MOD takes the unusual step of briefing government officials about the incident. They are instructed to withhold details from the public and simply reassure them that the matter is being investigated. The photos, meanwhile, are tucked safely away in the MOD archive in hope the story will simply go away. What was the Pitlochry object, and why was it accompanied by 2 RAF jets? The MOD claims it was the test flight of a new aircraft. But why did they go to such lengths to keep the story from the public? Coming up, a former MOD insider is an eyewitness to the UK's most shocking UFO cover-ups. This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed Alien Files. Over the past 50 years, Britain's UFO desk has recorded some 12,000 UFO sightings, but the Ministry of Defense has steadfastly refused to investigate them, all the while keeping their shocking details from the public. Compelling evidence from incidents in Rendlesham Forest in 1979 and Pitlochry, Scotland in 1990 has mysteriously disappeared from the MOD archives. But at the start of the 1990s, the world is changing. Cold War secrecy is giving way to glasnost. Apartheid is cracking and will soon give way to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. And Britain's UFO desk is about to see the arrival of a man who will help lift the veil of government secrecy. His name is Nick Pope.
When I was posted to the UFO project in 1991, I didn't really know what to expect. I had no prior knowledge or interest in the UFO phenomenon. To me, this was simply another government job.
It isn't long, however, before Nick Pope realizes that UFO investigation is no ordinary job. Unsealed case file, the Cosford incident. The year is 1993. 2 years into his assignment at the UFO desk sees Nick Pope approaching the job with a dedication severely lacking in his predecessors.
We had a huge reach. I could call on investigative resources that would have put anyone else to shame. If we had a photo or a video, I could get Air Force technical specialists to analyze and enhance that imagery.
He's already investigated many strange cases, but nothing could prepare him for the surreal events of March 30th, a UFO blitz.
This was a wave of sightings throughout the United Kingdom that took place over a period of around 6 hours.
The bizarre series of incidents climax with the appearance of a massive UFO flying over RAF Cosford and RAF Shawbury in the Midlands.
There were several dozen witnesses, including an Air Force officer with 8 years' experience, specifically of looking into the sky, judging things that he saw there. So you could not ask for a better witness.
The man sees a massive triangular-shaped craft hovering 200 feet in the air. It emits a low-frequency humming sound and fires a narrow, laser-like beam of light down at the ground. The giant ship moves slowly toward the base before suddenly deactivating its beam and darting off beyond the horizon much faster than any RAF jet. The encounter leaves the veteran airman rattled.
When I interviewed the witness the morning after this sighting, his voice was still shaking.
Pope notes striking similarities between Cosford and Rendlesham Forest a decade before.
That the witnesses are military, and also the fact that the shape of the UFO is essentially triangular, though the sizes of the craft are very different.
Were these UFOs constructed by the same alien race? Was Britain under some kind of extraterrestrial surveillance? There are so many witnesses to the Cosford incident that the MOD is left with no choice. It is at last forced to admit that an unidentified object, or objects of unknown origin, was operating over the UK. In 1998, Prime Minister Tony Blair holds a closed-door meeting with MOD to be briefed on the risks of revealing sensitive UFO knowledge. He is told the ministry has only a limited interest in UFO matters, but remains open-minded to the existence of alien life forms. It takes another 10 years before the British government at last opens its massive X-File archive in 2008. At the time, Britain braced itself for what it might learn.
A short time ago, everyone had a little piece of the puzzle, but no one had put it all together. Now, with the declassification and release of the British government's file on this case, we can see the entire picture.
Up next, stay tuned for the final revelation of Britain's X-Files. Will the UK government reveal what it knows about UFOs? This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. The time to act is now. There are 3 simple steps you can take to unseal the truth.
Follow on Twitter.
Follow the Unsealed Twitter feed to receive breaking news of the latest alien happenings as they develop.
Tell your story.
Have you seen a UFO?
Whatever we encountered affected our memory.
Upload stories and pictures to our interactive map.
Join the movement.
Get the Unsealed bracelet and the unique code hidden underneath to access exclusive content. Stop living in the dark.
It is definitely coming this way.
Get involved in the fight to unseal the truth. Now. In 2008, the British Ministry of Defense released 60 years of Britain's classified UFO X-Files. The documents expose decades of government misinformation on UFOs.
There are also documents that show how consistently, over the years, the Ministry of Defense tried to downplay the extent of the UFO phenomenon and discredit any media outlets that ran serious stories about UFOs and portray anyone who investigated UFOs as cranks.
Britain's X-Files have revealed a disturbing pattern, one that dates back to the Rendlesham Forest incident.
There are lots of rumors that there were nuclear weapons at Woodbridge. UFOs are interested in our missile sites, our nuclear weapons program, our military bases.
In 2009, the British government unexpectedly shut down the nation's UFO hotline, leaving terrified citizens nowhere to turn.
Please note that it is no longer MOD policy to record, respond to, or investigate UFO sightings. Therefore, it is no longer possible to leave messages on this number. Further details are available on our website.
In the months following the hotline's closure, UFO sightings across the United Kingdom tripled.
There's an old saying in the military, train hard, fight easy. There should be a contingency plan for alien contact and for alien invasion. The number one issue is defense.
What is the possibility of a major alien event on the horizon? And is there anything Britain can do about it? This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Los Angeles, Texas, the United Kingdom. These 3 places are home to some of the most terrifying UFO hotspots in the world.
UFO hotspot means a place where people see a lot of UFOs and have a lot of alien encounters. But over the years, we have thousands upon thousands of sightings, so something's going on in our skies.
Hotspots are locations where people are constantly reminded we are not alone. And they are places where people often live with an ever-present fear. What makes a UFO hotspot? Is there a pattern to where they occur? And if there is, what danger does it pose to humanity? Tonight, we reveal the world's greatest UFO hotspots on Unsealed, Alien Files. A global effort has begun. Secret files hidden from the public for decades, detailing every UFO account, are now available to the public. We are about to uncover the truth behind these classified documents. Find out what the government doesn't want you to know. Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth.
Los Angeles is a major UFO hotspot. The activity here is constant and seems to be escalating.
Los Angeles, California, January 21st, 2013. The International Business Times prints the unsettling story of a recent UFO sighting over the San Fernando Valley. A man is taking photos in his backyard when he sees a police helicopter flying overhead. He quickly adjusts his camera lens and takes a picture. Later, when reviewing his photos, he notices a tiny object high in the distance above the helicopter. Expert analysis of the photo reveals it to be a textbook example of a flying saucer. For decades, citizens of the Los Angeles area have reported an astonishing number of UFO sightings, higher than any other city in the U.S. 1992, Topanga Canyon, Los Angeles County. Sometime after midnight, the police receive a frantic call from a driver and his girlfriend on the Pacific Coast Highway. He claims that a beam of light appeared from the sky and surrounded his car, pulling the vehicle into the air. After a few moments, the light vanishes and the car drops back to Earth, leaving the couple frightened and shaken.
Topanga Canyon is a small community and it's a large park area. And on July 14, 1992, the skies must have opened up or something, some sort of portal, I don't know, but hundreds of UFOs were seen. I mean, to this day, I've talked to more than 20 separate adult witnesses who have confirmed the sighting on just that one evening alone.
Why is Los Angeles a magnet for alien activity in North America? Many UFO experts trace the Los Angeles alien phenomenon back to an often forgotten chapter of the Second World War. Unsealed case file, The Battle of Los Angeles. February 24th, 1942. America has just entered the war. An unidentified aircraft suddenly appears in the night sky over Los Angeles. Fearing a Japanese attack, anti-aircraft batteries open fire.
The battle over Los Angeles was an event in 1942 in which multiple witnesses observed an unidentified craft over LA. The military quickly went into action. They tried to figure out what the object was. They lit it up with their spotlights. They couldn't figure it out.
Witnesses watch in horror as the U.S. Army fires over 1,000 rounds at the hovering UFO.
The Battle of Los Angeles is such an important case because as the military engaged this object, fired rounds at it, they weren't able to touch it.
As quickly as the UFO appeared, it vanishes without a trace. The infamous incident is known as the Battle of Los Angeles. The following morning, Secretary of the Navy Frank Knox claims it was a false alarm, and the UFO was in fact a weather balloon.
The Army's explanation was that it was a weather balloon. And of course, if you're firing that many artillery shells at a weather balloon and you can't bring it down, you've got a problem with your defense.
Is it possible that a highly trained American defense force launched an all-out assault on a harmless weather balloon? Even more alarming, if this were a genuine UFO, could the aliens have interpreted this unprovoked aggression as an act of war? Up next, an entire state in America has been a focal point of UFO activity for decades. We'll reveal where and possibly why. On Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. Los Angeles, California has been the site of countless documented alien encounters. But it isn't America's only UFO hotspot. The entire state of Texas has seen hundreds of UFO incidents dating as far back as the 19th century.
I really do think there is some sort of a base down there just because of the huge number of reports. This is a major flap area, a hot spot.
Aurora, Texas, 1897. A UFO crashes into a windmill, as reported by the Dallas Morning News. Locals recover an alien body and bury it with Christian rites in Aurora Cemetery. A plaque at the cemetery identifies the alien burial to this day. Lubbock, 1951. 3 professors from Texas Tech photograph a fleet of UFOs. The incident becomes known as the Lubbock Lights. Stephenville, 2008. Over 30 witnesses, including law enforcement, see a mile-wide UFO fly overhead in the middle of the day. the incident receives worldwide media coverage. Why is the Lone Star State the focus of so much alien attention? The search for answers begins 60 miles northeast of the Mexican border in the small town of Marfa, Texas. For over a century, residents have reported eerie, ghost-like lights in the sky. Many believe the lights to be of extraterrestrial origin. Unsealed case file, Marfa, Texas. 1957, Coronet magazine publishes a report on the Marfa lights phenomenon, describing them as brightly glowing basketball-sized spheres floating above the ground. Scientists are quick to dismiss the phenomena as everyday automobile lights, appearing to float due to atmospheric reflections. But this explanation is met with skepticism in the UFO community, for one simple reason. The Marfa lights occur in a region called the Mitchell Flat, an area known for its rugged terrain and private property. Ufologists contend that car traffic could never be the source of its enigmatic lights. Why are authorities so quick to dismiss the Marfa lights as an atmospheric anomaly? And is there a price to be paid for covering up the heavy presence of aliens in Texas skies? As it turns out, there is. Dayton, Texas, 1980. Betty Cash and Vicki Landrum are driving along the highway when suddenly their car is enveloped in an intense beam of light emanating from the night sky. Above them is a UFO. Out of nowhere, a fleet of combat helicopters appear and surround the UFO, but it vanishes in an instant. Cash and Landrum suffer severe burns from the UFO's beam, commonly associated with exposure to high levels of radiation. Why did aliens attack two innocent women? And how did a squadron of military helicopters appear out of nowhere in the nick of time? Was the government already aware of UFO activity? And why did they not warn the public? A series of deadly events from 6 years earlier suggests they did. Unsealed case file, the Corpus Christi object. August 24th, 1974. U.S. Air Defense radar detects a UFO speeding northwest from the Gulf of Mexico toward Corpus Christi at an impossible speed of 2,500 miles per hour. At the same time, a small passenger plane takes off from El Paso, bound for Mexico City. For unknown reasons, the UFO suddenly changes course and collides with the plane over Coyame, Mexico. U.S. military locate the wreckage of the plane, but the UFO is nowhere to be found. Nearby, the responders also discover a Mexican Army Jeep with the lifeless bodies of 4 Mexican soldiers inside. There are no signs of trauma. They do not appear to have fired their weapons. Official cause of death? Asphyxiation. The proximity of the Dayton and Corpus Christi locations is alarming. Just outside Corpus Christi is the Naval Air Station, Trow Field. Dayton is part of metropolitan Houston, which is also home to mission control for NASA's space shuttle flights. Could the military and space exploration facilities be attracting UFOs? At the time of the Dayton incident in 1980, NASA was preparing to launch the first space shuttle. Some experts believe extraterrestrials are trying to send a message that would bring an abrupt halt to any further space exploration.
Maurice Chatelain, who was director of NASA communications, became famous in UFO circles because he was the first NASA insider to talk publicly about UFOs and say NASA knew about the presence of UFOs. It was NASA's most closely held secret, and Maurice Chatelain proved right of it.
Coming up, we reveal another UFO hotspot where 12,000 sightings have been recorded over the past 60 years, including violent alien attacks. on Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. America is riddled with UFO hotspots, but it isn't the only nation experiencing this phenomenon. In 2008, the British government declassified decades of eyewitness accounts of UFOs. The sheer volume of information was overwhelming.
From the 1950s to the termination of the British government's UFO project, around 12,000 UFO sightings were investigated.
Nick Pope is a former official with the British government's UFO desk, a department dedicated to the investigation of UFO sightings. These incidents date from World War II to modern day. Many of these UFO encounters are unpredictable and dangerously close calls.
The Civil Aviation Authority and the Ministry of Defense have on their case files several instances where there were near collisions between UFOs and commercial aircraft. In one instance, the pilot had time only to shout, "Look out, look out," before the UFO rapidly passed. Fortunately, there wasn't a collision and the UFO narrowly missed the aircraft. There were perhaps half a dozen or a dozen cases of near collision between UFOs and commercial aircraft.
These incidents bear an uncanny resemblance to the Corpus Christi collision. But Britain's hotspot similarities with Texas go far beyond near misses in the air. Here, too, aliens target military bases, posing a serious threat to national security. One event in particular has achieved legendary status among British UFO investigators: the Rendlesham Forest incident.
Over a series of nights in December 1980, United States Air Force personnel based at Bentwaters and Woodbridge in the United Kingdom saw UFOs. On the first night of activity, numerous witnesses, including John Burroughs and Jim Penniston, saw strange lights in the forest, which were unlike anything they'd seen before.
The two airmen set out to investigate. They discover the flashing lights are emanating from a large, triangular-shaped UFO resting on the forest floor.
Jim Penniston approached the UFO and at one point actually touched the side of the craft. He's described how this touching of the craft led to some effect where he was jolted and received what he can only really describe as some sort of telepathic download. Later, he felt a compulsion to write in his police notebook pages and pages of ones and zeros. These ones and zeros have been theorized to be binary code, and many people speculate that this is a message of some sort. There's huge controversy about the binary code and the Rendlesham message, and indeed there's a lot of discussion and debate about whether this is a message, and if it is, what this message says, what it all means.
Decoding the message may reveal why aliens are targeting hotspots like Britain and Texas.
It may be that further revelations are yet to come. Not everything that I've seen has yet seen the light of day. There may be some revelations that will be made in the future. There may be some things that will never be released.
Coming up, we investigate the next frontier of alien hotspots and learn if it might in fact be the last. This is Unsealed, Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth. Welcome back to Unsealed, Alien Files. The time to act is now. There are 3 simple steps you can take to unseal the truth.
Follow on Twitter.
Follow the Unsealed Twitter feed to receive breaking news of the latest alien happenings as they develop.
Tell your story.
Have you seen a UFO?
Whatever we encountered affected our memory.
Upload stories and pictures to our interactive map.
Join the movement.
Get the Unsealed bracelet and the unique code hidden underneath to access exclusive content. Stop living in the dark.
It's definitely coming this way.
Get involved in the fight to unseal the truth. Now. Both the US and the UK are inundated with intense UFO activity. Many of these hotspots occur near military installations. But what are these alien reconnaissance missions for? The answer may lie on the opposite side of the planet, inside the world's rising superpower, the People's Republic of China. Hangzhou, July 7th, 2010. Thousands watch in stunned disbelief as a flaming UFO streaks across the night sky over the eastern city. Many capture vivid images of the object. Authorities immediately close Yaoshan International Airport, thrusting the story into the worldwide media spotlight. The government pledges to launch a full investigation into the incident. Ultimately, the findings are never disclosed to the public. Only a week later, a second mass UFO sighting occurs in the southwestern city of Chongqing. Local residents are terrified. Renowned Chinese astronomer Wang Xichao has been studying UFO sightings in China for nearly 40 years. He believes UFO activity in China will only continue to increase. And according to a recent public statement, he doesn't rule out the possibility that the aliens might be hostile. If they are friendly to us, we can promote the human being civilization through exchange and cooperation with them. If they are not, as long as we prepared for their invasion, we can beat them back based on their weaknesses. After all, they are life entities. Are aliens surveying these places in preparation for a massive invasion? If so, is humanity even capable of defending itself against sudden attack? This is Unsealed Alien Files, exposing the biggest secret on planet Earth.